Alrighty, welcome back everybody to our latest severe weather update stream. This is not severe weather coverage. For reference, we're not covering really any severe weather today, but we do have some significant severe weather ahead over the next few days. And unfortunately, I do think Monday and Wednesday will be two of the most significant severe weather days that we've seen thus far this year. We have really two significant days that we're going to be talking about today. We have technically 4 days of severe weather ahead, but really Monday and Wednesday look to be the worst days for severe weather across the United States. With this on your screen being tomorrow's risk, which is currently a moderate threat across parts of Oklahoma and Kansas. Again, a large chunk of the Great Plains included in that. And then once we head later into the week, by Wednesday, we are going to be talking even about another significant threat for severe weather. And even some meteorologists and some that I know of are already talking about that this could be potentially another significant severe weather outbreak as we go into Wednesday across the Ohio Valley, the Mississippi Valley. And so we're going to be talking about a lot of that as well in today's forecast. Obviously, that is still 4 days out, so exact details still remain kind of a little bit uncertain, but that does look like another significant day for severe weather. So once again, we're going to be talking about really overall the next several days in terms of severe weather, but really diving deep into both Monday and Wednesday with some details as well for Tuesday and Thursday. If you are new to the channel, make sure to subscribe down below. I just checked our subscriber count. I had no clue we're even this close, but we are currently only about 2,000 subscribers from 200,000. So if you're new to the channel, make sure to subscribe down below, and let's get right into it. So we're going to begin with Monday first, because that is really the most immediate day for severe weather. We already do have a moderate threat for severe weather across parts of southern Kansas, and as well as back into Oklahoma. It is quite a, I wouldn't say a huge area, but it's obviously a large area in terms of the population. About 3 million people are included in this threat, which is primarily going to be for the Oklahoma City metro area, and as well as back over in areas like southern Kansas. So those will be the two areas to watch for the greatest potential for severe weather tomorrow. A lot of people are asking, do you think there's going to be a high risk for severe weather? I don't know. I think a lot of people are also in the same boat. Like, there might be a high risk, but I think overall the main thing with tomorrow is that the storm coverage, especially in this area, is supposed to be pretty isolated. And if we only have a couple of discrete cells and not like 4 or 5, I think overall, if there's only 1, 2, maybe 3 discrete cells, I don't think we're going to see a high risk for severe weather, but it's not impossible. But the limiting factor tomorrow is going to be the coverage of storms. There are likely going to be about 2 or maybe 3 discrete cells here across Oklahoma that develop, and also back into southern Kansas, maybe 1 or 2 in this area, then mostly linear further to the north. But the big thing with this is, again, that's probably going to be relatively isolated, which does mean that not everybody's going to see severe weather, but those that do, it is likely going to be very significant, where multiple strong and long track tornadoes will be a possibility for tomorrow. So you definitely want to make sure that you have multiple ways to receive alerts and have a tornado action plan in place if you're anywhere here in the central or southern plains. In addition to this, we do have an enhanced risk that goes back up in Nebraska, western Missouri, and even parts of North Texas are included in that. And then this is your tornado risk for tomorrow. So notice the area that is, again, the greatest concern will be that red shaded area from Wichita back into Oklahoma City, and then the yellow shaded area, which goes throughout much of Kansas, and as well as back into Oklahoma. So again, nothing crazy here comparatively to what I showed you this morning. No big updates from our forecast earlier today. The biggest update is the significant damaging wind risk, where we are going to get a line of storms. And what this will do tomorrow afternoon and evening is push to the east and produce a significant threat for damaging winds, which our trampoline meter right now for tomorrow is at a high risk. I will probably upgrade that to an extreme risk for tomorrow, but flying trampolines are likely here across this dashed area, which again includes a large chunk of Kansas, and as well as back into northeast Oklahoma, and as well as back into western Missouri. I actually wouldn't be surprised if this went a bit further out to the east due to the potential of this line of storms producing most likely some numerous to even potentially at times widespread damaging winds as this goes into Missouri. So definitely make sure that you're staying vigilant and weather aware. The other reason why we have a moderate threat for severe weather is due to the fact of very large hail. The Storm Prediction Center has issued this pink area, which represents a 45% chance within a 25-mile radius of significant hail. That would be 2 inches in diameter or greater. So if you're anywhere in the pink shaded area, you definitely need to make sure that you're protecting plants, and most importantly, protecting your vehicles, as you do not want to be dealing with hail damage when you wake up on Tuesday morning after these storms are all said and done. That red shaded area as well is another area that that we're watching for significant hail, and really anywhere in this dashed area, you need to make sure that you're protecting your vehicle. That does include the northwest side of the DFW Metroplex as well. Now, we are going to talk more about Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday here later in the stream, but I do want to give you an idea of what the threat is right now. We do have a slight risk across a large chunk of the Ohio Valley and as well as back into the Mississippi Valley. That would be for Tuesday. Now, once again, this area is subject to change. There could very easily be some changes, but I don't really expect Tuesday to be super significant. I think overall Tuesday will be kind of like one of those days that's in between the two significant severe weather outbreaks, which again would be Monday and Wednesday. I think this will kind of be a relief day, if you will. Now, we are going to see severe weather on Tuesday, but I just don't think it's going to be nearly as widespread or significant as Monday or Wednesday. So just keep that in mind. Obviously, stay vigilant. We'll talk a little bit more about that later in the stream. And then once we go into Wednesday, the Storm Prediction Center has already issued a large slight risk for severe weather from the Ohio Valley back into Texas, where there will be a threat again for some very significant severe weather. And this could be another significant severe weather outbreak. And the area that I'm watching for right now for a more elevated threat for severe weather would be across areas right in here. So we're talking basically from southern Illinois back into Arkansas. Once again, this is subject to change, and this is not an official forecast upgrade by any means. Again, I'm not the Storm Prediction Center, but that's where I do think the greatest threat for severe weather would be as we go into Wednesday. But once again, if things do change, I'll let you know. Obviously, this is a very large area, and I do think, again, Wednesday has a lot of ingredients in play, just like tomorrow. We could very easily see a lot of rogue supercells on Wednesday with the potential for some more strong tornadoes, significant damaging winds, and very large hail. The Storm Prediction Center has already mentioned that an upgrade to enhanced risk is possible, but it's uncertain exactly where that greatest risk for severe weather will be. So just keep that in mind. Alrighty, let's go through the timing, give you an idea of all that sort of stuff. And let's kind of go through that. Let me go to, we'll start with the jet stream first. And one thing I do want to point out with the jet stream, essentially what the jet stream is that it controls the weather patterns across the United States. But one important thing to tomorrow is going to be the low pressure system. Notice this, it is a negatively tilted trough. And I talk about this a lot, and a lot of people are wondering, what does that exactly mean? Well, it means a few things. One of which is when we have a positively tilted trough, which would be something that looks more like this, we would essentially be looking at a lower risk for severe weather in many cases. With a negatively tilted trough, we get a lot more spin in the atmosphere. We also get a stronger southerly pull of moisture out of the Gulf of Mexico, so that moisture content that's going to be available tomorrow is naturally going to be higher. We have dew points that are forecasted to be near 70 degrees in some areas, so it's going to be a very humid environment, and there's going to be a lot of buoyancy, which essentially means that there's going to be a greater threat for severe weather. Once we go into Tuesday into Wednesday, that continues to stay negatively tilted, but it does become more disorganized for Tuesday. So again, I think we'll see severe weather on Tuesday, especially in parts of the Ohio Valley and Midwest, but I do think the threat is lower. But by Wednesday, I think this reorganizes and produces more of another significant severe weather event there across parts of the Mississippi Valley and as well as the Ohio Valley. And then as we go into the hodographs, this is another sort of tool that we use here to kind of project what the overall severe weather threat would be. And notice the hodographs here. Wait 1 second. Sorry, this is okay, never mind, this is updated. All right, so when we're looking at the hodographs, we're looking at the spin in the atmosphere, and there's going to be a lot of spin throughout the atmosphere. Dude, these forecasts always get me. I talk too fast. Give me 1 second. Sorry, I'm used to doing forecasts in, like, parts. I'm just talking too fast. Give me 1 second. Hope everybody's having a good day, by the way, so far. We'll resume the forecast in just a moment. Yeah, just give me 1 second. Psyching myself out. I do this a lot in forecast live streams for some reason. How's it going, Margaret? Welcome back. Remember to breathe. I know, I don't do that very often in forecasts. In forecasts in particular. I mean, obviously, this is a elongated forecast, so there's a lot more to talk about. And obviously, it's, 8+ minutes long instead of, a typical forecast is 8 minutes, but it's usually split up into parts, so it's a little bit different. No, I'm good. I'm good. No, this has happened before. It just, I go a little bit too fast. It's fine. It is okay. Speedy talks about your passion for the field. I know. I talk fast, and obviously, It gets me. All right, so talking about photographs, I'll try to, keep pushing along here. And then, again, we'll answer questions here soon. So if you have questions, I'll try to get to those here in a few minutes. But the photographs, again, essentially show you the spin in the atmosphere throughout the different levels, anywhere from the surface all the way throughout the upper atmosphere. So basically what we're looking at here is the spin throughout different parts of the atmosphere with these little twirly little things that you see on your screen. That's going to represent the spin. And the more turn they are, that's going to kind of represent more spin, which means there's a higher tornado risk. And for tomorrow, we have a much higher tornado risk because of that. With all the shear that we're going to have throughout the atmosphere and the changing directions of the wind, that essentially creates that spin across the atmosphere, across the central and southern plains. And this is the area where that greatest spin will be. So if you're basically anywhere in this area, that is where the greatest tornado threat will be, which again is outlined by the Storm Prediction Center. Notice the instability as well. It'll be quite high. Anywhere in that red and orange, that represents a lot of instability, which again means that there's going to be a lot of storm fuel for tomorrow. And then this would be the significant tornado parameter values. Again, I got to refresh a lot of this stuff. It's kind of lagging behind. All right, so here's the significant tornado parameter values. Once again, the brighter colors representing a higher tornado risk, and that would be most present, again, across Oklahoma, where the highest tornado risk will be. Also, even parts of southern Kansas. But again, this area here is where that greatest tornado threat will be. The problem, again, will be how many supercells we have tomorrow. The less supercells we have, it's going to be a lesser threat overall of seeing strong and long-track tornadoes. We might only have 1 or 2, but if there's like 4 or 5 discrete cells, we're going to have a much more significant threat for tornadoes in this area, where again long tracked and strong tornadoes will be a possibility. All right, let's go through the future radar. We'll jump ahead here to tomorrow afternoon. So tomorrow, I'm not sure when we're starting our live stream. It could start early, it could start late. Tomorrow could be one of our longest live streams in history because of how long this threat's going to be. I mean, this is going to last literally from about 12 o'clock tomorrow all the way through about 6 a.m. on Tuesday. That's how long this threat is going to be. But the most significant threat is going to be in 2 different parts. We're going to have one during Monday afternoon and evening, and that'll be this area here where we have a linear line of storms with damaging winds, large hail, and a few embedded tornadoes. The more significant threat will be across Oklahoma, which is out of any discrete cells that fire off mostly after 4 o'clock tomorrow. So notice these discrete cells, the THRU only showing 1 or 2 of these cells. And the reason why I don't think there'll be a high risk is because I don't think we're going to have enough discrete supercells for that to be a present, threat. I think overall there's just not going to be enough of them. But if we do end up having, let's say 1, 2, 3, let's say we have 4 discrete supercells that are going to probably happen tomorrow, which this is something that is kind of predictable. If there's more than just one supercell, this could turn into a much more rogue, long-tracked, and strong tornado threat. But if there's only 1 or 2 of these, that means that we're probably only going to have 1 or 2 storms that are producing this threat of long-tracked and strong tornadoes like this one here, which the THRU shows across northern and central Oklahoma, eventually moving towards like the Tulsa area, which again, this could very easily change. If we go back to the THRU earlier this morning, look at how many supercells it shows then. It shows only like 1 or 2 in kind of the same area, but a little bit further to the north. So the positioning of these supercells is very hard to forecast in future time because again, they could be in any single spot here. But notice how it also shows after about 9 or 10 o'clock tomorrow, 1, 2, 3, maybe 4. We kind of got like 4 or 5 different supercells here in this area of Oklahoma, which if this happens, it could very easily be significant, and we could even get towards like a high risk for severe weather, for example, if there's a lot more supercells. But I do think a moderate threat at this point is a safe play here across Oklahoma, just due to the nature of the fact that we may or may not have multiple supercells. They might only be 1, which means only 1 or 2 storms produce long and strong tornadoes, or if there's 4 or 5, there could be a much more significant tornado outbreak that happens that's major across Oklahoma. But I do think the northern mode of severe weather is going to be more of a damaging wind and hail threat, with also a few tornadoes being possible, but it's probably going to be a bit more linear, which would alleviate a little bit of that tornado threat. It should stay a little bit lower overall and not nearly as elevated, but strong tornadoes still being a possibility since we just have so much spin in the atmosphere. So a lot of this, again, will be happening between about 3 p.m. tomorrow all the way up until about midnight or so tomorrow, and then overnight, this turns into a Boeing line of storms where damaging winds and embedded tornadoes will be the primary concern from Minnesota back into Arkansas. So again, if you're you're anywhere in these areas, obviously make sure that you're protecting anything that's loose outside, protect any loose lawn items, because it is going to most likely be a very windy night tomorrow night into early Tuesday morning, where that line of storms will plow through Iowa, Missouri, and even back into Arkansas. Here's what the Midwest looks like as we go into Tuesday morning. So that damaging wind threat will approach the Midwest with some significant damaging wind potential still existing, but it should stay as a more marginal threat. This line is likely not going to be nearly as intense as what it'll be on Monday, because it's going to be going for hours on end. The instability and the daylight heating will kind of be going away overnight, so we're not going to have a really favorable environment here for a significant damaging wind event, at least in the Midwest per se, unless you're back over in parts of Iowa or western Missouri, where this will still be pretty intense due to all the instability and also all the daylight heating that's going to essentially be available here. So just keep that in mind once again if you're back over in Iowa or Missouri. And then once we go into Tuesday morning, again, that moves through the Midwest and eventually the Ohio Valley, which overall that severe weather threat should be lower. But once we go into Wednesday, I think things get a lot more significant. And this is the threat for Tuesday. Notice we have a large slight risk from the Ohio Valley back through Arkansas, but I do think, again, Wednesday is going to be our greatest concern in comparison to Tuesday in terms of severe weather, where another severe weather outbreak will be a possibility. And these are the tornado parameter values for Tuesday. So notice again, the values aren't super high on Tuesday. We could get a little bit more of an elevated tornado risk in like Kentucky, for example, on Tuesday, or southern Ohio, where the atmosphere may be a bit more favorable for tornadoes. But I think Wednesday is more concerning. The NAM model already showing some higher tornado parameter values right along this leading edge of storm activity that would develop from Illinois back into Arkansas going into late Wednesday. So we could again have a tornado outbreak again on Wednesday here in the Ohio Valley. But I think that maximized potential will again be in this area here. I outlined that at the beginning of this forecast, but that would be the area that I would be watching for the closest, for the greatest threat. And then as we go into the late evening and into the overnight hours, we may even see a tornado threat across parts of the Ohio Valley. Now you might be wondering, what's the timing? What's the, all that sort of stuff? We don't really have a great view at the timing at this point because we are still several days out, but the majority of the storms on Wednesday would be during the mid to late afternoon into the evening, and perhaps even some storms into the overnight hours. Here are the hodographs as well for Wednesday. Once again, this actually looks like a very favorable environment as well. These hodographs again give you an idea of the wind direction changing throughout the atmosphere, the overall basically shear, and also the spin that we have in the atmosphere. And once again, when we get shapes like this, that usually represents a more favorable environment for tornadoes. And we have a lot of that here across the Mississippi River, anywhere from Illinois all the way back into Mississippi and as well as Arkansas. So this is definitely a concerning environment for Wednesday. So any cells that we end up having on Wednesday that are discrete or rogue will have another elevated chance for tornadoes. But things like this just don't look very pretty when we're looking at the long term, because again, we have a lot of wind shear available again for Wednesday, which once again, I do think Monday and Wednesday will be the two more significant days for severe weather of the week. And then once we go into Thursday, things do become a bit more uncertain, but there might be a threat on the east coast of the United States for severe weather. Now, I do want to kind of read you a little bit of a tweet. This from Noah Berggren on from Fox 35, and he's a really fantastic meteorologist. I met him a couple weeks ago, but I do want to kind of talk about a couple of his points that he's mentioning for Wednesday. But there's this is basically what he said. There's no sugarcoating or toning down needed, but no hype from this either. Wednesday this week is the real deal for a regional severe weather outbreak in the mid-Ohio and mid-Mississippi Valley. Now, once again, this is actually something that I was thinking about as well, looking at the ingredients and all that. I do think Wednesday is going to be another really significant day for severe weather across a large chunk of the United States, with this area being the primary focus. And honestly, this does kind of remind me a little bit of what we saw last year around March 31st. And I'm not saying this is going to be the exact same thing, but it reminds me a little bit synoptically of what happened then. But he basically says that at this point, there's the minimum risk on that day will probably be a moderate risk, or that's what he thinks it'll be. Again, significant severe weather, very probable in this area as well, with damaging winds, very large to potentially giant hail, and a more localized risk for strong and long-track tornadoes appears to be on the table for Wednesday. So once again, Wednesday looks to be a much more significant day as well for severe weather. I do think tomorrow, again, will be very significant, but Wednesday could actually be worse, just due to the fact that it might be a larger area that'll be impacted by the strong and long-track tornado potential. So once again, Monday, Wednesday, the most significant days of the week. Tuesday, Thursday kind of seem like relief days almost, where there will be severe weather, but it probably will not be nearly as substantial as Monday and Wednesday's severe weather threats will be. But even then, Tuesday, we're probably going to have another severe weather outbreak, and Thursday, we may have a severe weather outbreak then as well, but we are still several days out, so things could change on that end. But again, this would be your risk for severe weather as we go into Wednesday, which again, I think Wednesday will be one of the more significant threats for severe weather, especially across Kentucky and Tennessee, southern Ohio, southern Indiana, southern Illinois, southeast Missouri, northeast Arkansas, northern Mississippi, perhaps even northern Alabama. Basically, all of those areas that I just mentioned would be on the table for a more significant severe weather event on Wednesday. Again, this is no reason to panic. Obviously, we are still several days out from this severe weather event, so things could easily change between now and then, but Wednesday is definitely going to be a day to watch, and we'll be live again Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, more than likely of this entire week. So make sure that you're subscribed to the channel, and we'll be keeping you posted with the latest, because again, it's going to get very active very quickly across a large chunk of the United States. It starts tomorrow, but it'll run all the way into days like Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, which again, this is unbelievable. I mean, we had an event like this a week back or two when we had that 4-day severe weather event. It reminds me of that pretty similarly, but I think Monday is going to be a much bigger start comparatively to the other events that we had, where the severe weather event didn't really get going until we were into the second or third day of the severe weather threat. So once again, a lot of significant severe weather ahead. I'll be answering questions. We'll go through timing. We'll do all that sort of stuff here in this live stream, and yeah, I'll answer questions starting now. But again, I do hope everybody's having a good day so far. Again, if you are new to the channel, make sure to subscribe. Again, we'll be live for the next several days. And once again, we are quickly approaching 200,000 subscribers, which is just insane. So if you're new to the channel, make sure to subscribe. All right, let me get to some questions here. Thank you, by the way, Kevin, for becoming a minimum velocity member. Thank you, Waco, for the $5 super chat. I don't think Waco's actually going to see much unless you get something maybe on tossing trampolines on Tacos Tuesday, which even then, that's a relatively low risk, and Waco's not even in that. Wednesday would be a more of a day to watch for, which would be wacky weather Wednesday across parts of Texas. But even then, I really think the most significant threat is going to be in here, and I think even Texas is going to be kind of on the cusp of severe weather. It'd probably be more of a hail and wind threat, is my thinking for a Wednesday. Hey, old movie, appreciate that. Looking forward to tomorrow's stream. You know, I would say the same, but I think we're gonna be live probably for about 9 to 12 hours tomorrow. Like, I think tomorrow could be a very, very, very long day. You know, tomorrow is setting up to be one of the longest coverages that we've ever had. Our longest coverage in a single day was 15 hours, but that was, you know, split up into parts, so split up into 2 parts. But consecutive hours, tomorrow could be one of the longest. This is the timing again for tomorrow. Let me pull up the future radar here. Let's go to the 18Z model run. By the way, the HRRR 0Z model run, it might be on an hour or so, maybe an hour and a half. So we might still be live for that, but I'm not sure yet. Either way, it won't matter a whole lot. I don't think there's major changes coming with that update, but this will be the timing for tomorrow morning. So again, storms fire off right across Kansas and Nebraska right around 12 to 1 o'clock. We might go live that early. I don't know yet. We're gonna have to wait and see. Actually, my new desk is gonna be built tomorrow, or being built tomorrow. So I'm not sure what time we're actually going to be able to go live tomorrow, because my friend's coming over and he's going to be building my desk, which we have a new desk coming in for the new monitors and all that. But the plan is to probably go live around 1 or 2 tomorrow. I'm not sure exactly what time yet, but it would be probably around 1 or 2, maybe around 3. So again, start time probably around 1 to 3 tomorrow, with the significant storms firing up right in that enhanced risk area right around 2 to 3. Once again, a lot of these will be more linear and clustered, which means more of a significant damaging wind threat, but large hail and tornadoes are also going to be a possibility. Anything that's discrete will have a more elevated tornado threat. And then once we get closer to 5 to 6 o'clock, storms are developing across that moderate threat of severe weather, which is where, again, the greatest tornado threat currently is. I wouldn't be surprised if this moderate risk got extended a bit further to the east, by the way. Again, I'm not really, I don't know if we'll see a high risk tomorrow, but I do think that moderate threat could be extended further to the east, comparatively to where it is now, probably for that tornado threat. Once we get closer to 6 to 7, those storms continue to move to the east. The prime tornado threat for tomorrow will probably be from about 4 to 10. So 4 o'clock being with those initial storms in northwest Oklahoma. Those eventually move towards Tulsa, where more redevelopment is possible as we go into the late evening. And anything that new develops could also pose the threat for significant severe weather. Now, if we go live around 3 tomorrow, this would be by 11. We'll probably still be live for this significant damaging wind threat and also the tornado threat. By 1 to 2 in the morning, those storms continue to move eastbound across parts of even southern Minnesota, Iowa, and as well as Missouri. Most of this, though, will be the significant severe weather threat with damaging winds. This area up here to the north, not going to be nearly as significant. It would mostly just be isolated gusty winds. And then as we go into the late morning hour, or early to mid morning hours as we go into Tuesday, this threat will move into areas like Chicago, where again some gusty winds or even some damaging winds will still be a possibility, but that threat will overall be lower across the Midwest. So that's the current thinking, but again, I do think overall tomorrow the greatest threat for tornadoes will be from about 4 to 10, and again that'll probably start here right in northwest Oklahoma, where a discrete supercell or two fire off, and then from there it's going to continue to kind of grow as this moves to the east. We'll continue to watch for a tornado threat all the way through parts of western Missouri, with the greatest concern right now being in northern Oklahoma and as well as southern Kansas. So that is really, again, the main concern right now. Also, thank you, David, and as well as Crystal, for becoming Velocity members. How's it going, Cynthia? Welcome back. On Thursday, do you think North Carolina will have issues? Thursday could have some severe weather in North Carolina, but again, I'm not really too concerned right now for Thursday. The most concerning days, in my opinion, are again Monday, which is this, and then also as we go into Wednesday, which right now is a slight risk, but I would fully expect this to be upgraded at least to an enhanced risk as we get closer. If it pops up, 1 second. Oh, sorry, this day. Wait. Wednesday. Yes, this is Wednesday. Sorry, my days are all flipped around right now. That would be Wednesday. So again, anywhere basically from the Ohio Valley back into Texas. This again being the greatest area, in my opinion, for severe weather, which I've outlined a few times, but the greatest tornado threat, the greatest hail and wind threat will probably be in this area. I think Michigan will be fine this week. The only day I'd be watching for would be Tuesday, mostly for an isolated damaging wind threat. And then Ohio, I'd be most vigilant on Tuesday and as well as Wednesday. Tuesday primarily for the western half of the state, and even on the southwest side of the state for Wednesday. Those would be the 2 days I would watch for. But I do think the more, again, significant threat for severe weather will be to your west on Wednesday. Tuesday, we could see a locally or higher tornado threat, perhaps back over in like northern Kentucky, for example, maybe in like this area here. So we may see a slightly higher tornado risk in the next outlook or one of these next two outlooks, but again, that remains a little bit uncertain. I think a lot of it will depend on how that line of storms evolves as it moves into the Ohio Valley, and if it weakens in time and we get enough daylight heating, enough instability, we could see maybe an isolated strong tornado threat developing, but I think it'll be a very isolated threat. I don't think it's going to be a repeat of what we'll probably see tomorrow, at least. So that's good news, I guess, at least for those areas. Thank you, Jamie, and as well as Bryce for also becoming Velocity members. Thank you, Nicholas, for the $5 Venmo. I think Memphis is going to be in play for both Tuesday and Wednesday. I think Tuesday is more of a hail and wind concern, and then Wednesday will be more of a tornado concern across that Mississippi River. And again, this would be Wednesday, which I've showed a few times, but synoptically this day and even dynamically, I mean, we have a much more favorable environment for tornadoes across this area, again, from southern Illinois back into parts of northwest Mississippi. Now, once again, this is not an official, storm prediction center outlook that I'm like showing you this black circle, and obviously the yellow area is a slight risk, but that is personally where I'm forecasting a greater threat for severe weather. Now, it is subject to change. Things could obviously change. The ingredients could change. The wind shear could change. All that sort of stuff could definitely change between now and then, but that would be the area that I am watching for the most on Wednesday for the greatest severe weather threat. I keep pulling up today's outlook. Today's outlook is kind of already done. We did have a severe thunderstorm watch in Texas today, but that was only in southern Texas, so it wasn't a major threat, but we did have some large hailstorms and damaging winds earlier. Thank you, Joe, for the $10 super chat. Oxford, Kansas. I'm not going to do like a super detailed breakdown, but your main time frame would probably be from about 5 until 8. That would be like the main time frame, give or take an hour or two for the, you know, the greatest threat for significant severe weather. But you're mainly looking at a very large hail threat, damaging wind threat, and then maybe a strong tornado. But I think the strongest tornado threat will probably be out of anything discrete, which will kind of be in your vicinity. So you definitely want to make sure that you have a tornado action plan in place tomorrow and have multiple ways to receive alerts. I cannot stress that enough. I know a lot of people tomorrow are going to be vigilant. Hopefully there's a lot of you that are vigilant, but tomorrow is going to be a pretty significant day, and we also have a threat for nocturnal tornadoes, which brings us to this graphic from the from NOAA. This is a graphic that'll give you an idea of, you know, how you can be prepared for severe weather, especially when you're going to bed, which again, you don't have to be awake overnight to, you know, be prepared for severe weather, but you definitely want to make sure you have a weather radio if you have one. Make sure that is all set up and ready to go. Have a safe place, have a flashlight and shoes on hand, and also have a cell phone ready that is able to send you weather alerts that are like tornado warnings and severe thunderstorm warnings and such. But again, you don't have to be awake all night tomorrow. I know it's going to be a scary little day tomorrow, that we could have some strong and long track tornadoes, but I do want to again remind you that, you know, if you see a storm that's coming towards you, you might want to stay up a little bit longer. But, you know, if you're back over in like central Missouri, for example, where it's more of a damaging wind threat, for example, this is what we're looking at right now for Missouri. Again, let's say you're in Jefferson City or Columbia, you know, you're going to see severe weather probably to some extent tomorrow night, but it would probably be after midnight, and the majority of the storms will be linear by that point. And you'll see on the future radar here right about 12 o'clock or so tomorrow night, we're going to be dealing with more of a line of storms, and the majority of these storms will be mostly damaging winds. We could see a couple of embedded tornadoes, but it's mostly going to be a damaging wind threat. And also, you're not right now in the forecast for strong and long track tornadoes, so keep that in mind. But, you know, you want to be prepared at least for severe weather, but there's, you know, no reason that you have to stay up all night worrying about storms. You just want to make sure that you, again, have multiple ways to receive alerts, have a tornado action plan in place, have a flashlight by your, you know, bedside in case, you know, you do have to go seek shelter and all that sort of stuff, and stay vigilant most importantly. But I don't think there's any reason to panic in some of these areas. Now, if you're in Oklahoma, you don't really have to worry as much about a nocturnal threat because the majority of these storms will be done before midnight. We could see some storms, though, around midnight or so in northeast Oklahoma, maybe even back over here just east of Oklahoma City, so be vigilant there. But the majority of the storms that are the most significant during tomorrow afternoon will be during the daylight hours. So this is like 6 o'clock, for example, in that moderate threat. During this time frame, the majority of the storms will be happening during the daylight hours. So, you know, you don't have to be nearly as concerned about overnight hours and that severe weather threat existing overnight, because again, most of these storms will be done before sunset. But we could still see a couple storms, but I think overall the majority of that tornado threat will be before sunset here in Oklahoma. But if you're back up in this area, the tornado threat will be more maximized between about 6 and about 11 o'clock or so. So just keep that in mind. Again, it varies where you are on the map. But there could be 2 rounds of storms, one that's more discrete, and then one would be a bit more linear here in parts of Oklahoma, which the HRRR model, it's kind of showing where you have 1 or 2 discrete supercells, and you have more of a line of storms behind that. So that's what we'd be looking at in terms of that threat. Hopefully that makes sense. Also, thank you, Waco, again for a $5 super chat. How's Thackerville, Oklahoma? By the way, preferably if you are asking about like a location, like a general area, just say like a region of a state. It'll make it way easier to answer more of these questions in the allotted time that I have for this live stream, which is like probably 2 hours. So we'll be live for like 2 hours answering questions, but like, you know what I mean? Just try to make it a little bit more generalized so I can answer more questions. But for southern Oklahoma, the main concern, I don't know if we're going to really see anything at Thackerville. I think overall the majority of the storms down here are probably not going to fire. We have a cap down here in Texas tomorrow once again, and also a lack of moisture. And you might be wondering, what is a cap? Well, a cap is essentially a temperature inversion in the atmosphere. Let's say this is a temperature profile. Let's say it's 70 degrees at the surface, which it'll probably be warmer tomorrow. And then once you go higher up in the atmosphere, it's 40 degrees here. But all of a sudden, as you go like a few hundred feet more into the atmosphere, it's like 60 degrees or something like that. That essentially means that we have all of a sudden increasing temperatures in one little part of the atmosphere, which essentially is a temperature inversion that would block any storms from getting past this point, or any like little parcels that are rising to the atmosphere. They essentially wouldn't be able to get past that point. So if we have something like that in place, storms will not be able to fire up, or at least they will be very, very minimal activity. So that is more than likely what we're going to see tomorrow, is a cap. Now, if that cap is overcome, we could get a couple large hailstorms and maybe an isolated tornado, but overall, I think that threat for parts of like North Texas and very far southern Oklahoma, basically right along the Red River, is going to be a relatively low threat of severe weather. How about Hastings, Nebraska? I think anywhere in Nebraska, honestly, even Hastings, is probably going to be more of a wind threat. You could get an isolated tornado, maybe an isolated strong tornado, but I think the majority of these storms, again, will be, for the most part, linear. So anything that's linear, again, mostly going to be damaging winds tomorrow, with a few embedded tornadoes being possible. But yeah, that's what I'm expecting. The greatest concern would be anywhere from about 3 until about 7 or 8. So it'd be mostly a daylight hour event for you, which is good news, because I know a lot of you, you hate the nocturnal threats. I personally hate the nocturnal severe weather threats. Whenever you have a tornado warning at 9 p.m. or 10 p.m. and you can't even see anything outside, it's pretty scary. But luckily, those areas back up in Nebraska, for the most part, will all happen before sunset, which is, good news for the most part. But it's bad news that we're seeing severe weather, but it's better news at least that we're seeing it during the daylight hours there. Unfortunately, areas like Missouri, Arkansas, and Iowa have a nighttime threat. What do I think about Wichita? I don't think we're going to see anything Wichita Falls, Texas. Not Wichita, Kansas, but Wichita Falls, Texas. I don't think we're going to see anything. Again, we're under the risk here in North Texas, but, a lot of the time we have a cap, and we're going to have a cap again tomorrow. And unless it's overcome, we could get maybe an isolated storm or two down here that do produce a, very large hail threat, or maybe even an isolated tornado. But again, I'm just not super confident that we're going to see anything down there right along the Red River. Now, again, it's my forecast. Things, I could be wrong. You never know. I mean, I've been pretty right with a lot of this stuff recently, I think, but I could be wrong. So you might actually see something. And if you do, again, the main concern would be large hail. This is the 12Z model run from the THRU. And notice it also doesn't show anything here. Now, granted, this is just one computer model, but the THRU from earlier today showed a lot more of these discrete cells across parts of central and eastern Oklahoma right around the late evening into the overnight hours, which would definitely not be a good thing, because we could get some strong tornadoes out of that. But once again, overall, right along the Red River, probably going to be mostly just very large hail, if there are any storms that develop, and then maybe an isolated tornado. We'll have a lot of wind shear, but I think the problem is really the lack of moisture in the mid to upper levels there right along the Red River and just south of there, and then also the threat there for tornadoes might be a bit more limited with that too, and then the capping in place would also be an issue. Thank you, Deanna, for becoming a Velocity member, and also thank you, Uneducated, for becoming a Minimum Velocity member. Do appreciate it, and welcome to the Velocities. All right. Do I think a violent tornado is possible tomorrow? I mean, any of these days where you get like a moderate or high risk for tornadoes, it's almost always a possibility. Now, granted, you can't really you can forecast probabilities of that sort of stuff, but, overall, I think that's possible, but I don't think it's, for sure, and it's not something I can just accurately predict, but it is possible. I'll just say that. I'll leave it at that. It's possible, and that's why you want to make sure that you're staying weather aware, and again, have multiple ways to receive alerts. On any of these days where you have higher risks like this, it's very possible. Now, granted, the risk does not, cover the risk that you see here does not mean you're all going to see severe weather, for the record. It just means this is where the greatest probabilities for severe weather will exist. Now, what's interesting about tomorrow is that, again, we're going to have a line of storms up here, which is going to be more of a widespread area and a widespread coverage of storms. Now, granted, not all of these storms will produce severe weather, but those that do will have damaging winds and some embedded tornadoes. And then these storms that are further down here to the south are going to be more discrete and much more isolated, which means that any storm that is isolated will again produce a potential for a long tracked and strong tornado. But if we only have like 1 or 2 of those, a lot of people probably still see them, but they're not going to be nearly as widespread. It'd be like a 20 to 30% storm coverage. Meanwhile, if we had like 4 or 5 or 6 discrete cells, which would be basically worst case scenario tomorrow, then we'd be talking about a much more significant threat for severe weather. including the threat again for multiple strong tornadoes and multiple long track tornadoes, which currently the Storm Prediction Center has mentioned that that is a possibility. So hopefully we have no discrete supercells tomorrow. That's really the hope. But unfortunately, I do think we're probably at least going to get one or two. And those one or two that develop will be rather significant. Now, when we look at the future radar, this is what I'm talking about with a discrete cell. If you don't know what that means, this would be technically a quote unquote discrete supercell. Now, what that means is that it's individualized. It's kind of split away from any other storms that we have on the map. More linear would be stuff that we're talking about up here to the north, which... again, not a fantastic example, but this would be basically a linear line of storms. And then this would be kind of semi-discrete kind of down in here. So those are the three different storm modes that really we're watching for tomorrow. Anything that's discrete, again, more of a tornado risk and very large and giant hail risk. And then anything that's linear is more of a damaging wind threat. Now, I do want to mention the maximum hailstone size today will tomorrow, will probably be right around softball-sized hail. It could even be a little bit larger. We could even see an isolated storm near the size of grapefruits. So the hail threat is also very concerning. Now, this moderate risk is not just driven by tornadoes, it's also driven by the very large hail threat, which again would represent that pink area there where we could see some very significant hail. This represents a 45% chance within a 25-mile radius of very large hail. So just keep that in mind. All right. Let me go back to here. If you have any questions, feel free to leave those in the chat. Again, I'm going to try to answer as many as possible. I do recommend, if you're just tuning in, by the way, to go to the very beginning of the stream. Talked about every single day individually, but again, we're answering a lot of questions here. Tucker, he didn't donate, by the way. There's nothing there. Thank you, Kevin, for the $9.99. Hayesville, Kansas. Once again, if you're asking about any sort of areas, please try to make them, like, you know, nearby a city. Like, you could just say Wichita. It makes it way easier for me. Again, the difference between 25 miles here is not going to be that big of a difference for what I'm going to be telling you. So just again, if you're asking questions, preferably a region of a state, please. No specific locations. And also zip codes, please do not give me zip codes. I'm not going to, I don't know where these zip codes are. You're giving me like 5-digit numbers, like I'm supposed to know where a certain zip code is, even though I can look it up. Again, it's just, you know, it takes too much time. So anywhere in the Wichita area, once again, very large hail threat is really the main concern. And then if we do see a discrete supercell up here, we could get a strong tornado. But right now the HRRR, which is just one computer model, is showing this a bit more linear to semi-discrete, which would mean more than anything a damaging wind and very large hail threat. But if there are any discrete or even just semi-discrete supercells, we'll have the chance at a strong tornado. Your greatest concern is going to be from about 5 to 8 tomorrow. So that would be the most concerning time frame. The time frame that you want to be most vigilant during would be between 5 and 8. Thank you, Heather, for the $10 super chat. Kansas City Metro. I mean, you have a chance for nocturnal tornadoes tomorrow, but I think the threat is pretty low. I think overall these storms as we go into, you know, tomorrow night, really right around about 9-10 o'clock in your area, for the most part, are going to be comprised of damaging winds. But any storms here that get little notches in them, which I bet we'll have at least 2 or 3 of these that do have like little notches. The HRRR kind of shows that a little bit, not really, but that's kind of what we'd be looking at. We'll probably have like 1 or 2 of these storms that are rotating and produce a tornado threat, but I think the threat there near Kansas City is relatively low. I wouldn't be super concerned about it, but I would still stay weather aware and again have multiple ways to receive alerts. Do you think the early cloud cover tomorrow over central Oklahoma will inhibit supercell initiation? That's actually a great question, and I actually was going to answer this. I was going to mention it earlier. I just forgot to mention it. So let me see if I can pull up a graphic of the cloud cover tomorrow real quick here. Just give me 1 second on that. I need to find cloud cover. Forecasted cloud cover is what I'm talking about. So give me 1 second on that. I was going to talk about this earlier, but I forgot to mention it. All right, so this is the HRRR. Again, we use the HRRR seemingly for everything here for whatever reason. But this is the HRRR for cloud cover. Basically, anywhere in blue would be cloud cover, which I know is a little bit confusing, but that's what we're looking at there. So notice the cloud cover as we go into tomorrow morning. We're going to have a lot of clouds across Nebraska, Kansas, and as well as Oklahoma. Now, one good thing with this is that this should limit the amount of discrete cells by a little bit. But if we do get any breaks in the sun, the instability is going to grow, and that will lead to a more robust robust, significant severe weather potential. But notice this, right around about 2 or 3 o'clock, storms are going to be developing up and down from northwest Oklahoma back into central and southern Nebraska. That's where the initiation will happen. But notice this little area here. We're actually going to have a break in the clouds here, which will allow for more instability. That could lead to, again, a more robust supercell threat down here, which is, again, why there is a more elevated tornado threat here. There's going to be less cloud cover, a lot more wind shear as well, and a much more favorable environment overall for a tornado. We're gonna have a lot of, torque in the atmosphere, a lot of spin, which is going to, again, allow for that tornado threat. But I don't think cloud cover is going to be a major factor tomorrow. In a lot of cases, it would be, but I just don't think this is going to be a major factor. We don't necessarily need that much sunshine or even that much instability for this threat to happen tomorrow. Now, the more sunshine, the probably worse this threat would be, but I don't think we're going to have a whole lot of sunshine tomorrow. It'd be probably like a 2 or 3 hour window here across parts of Oklahoma, and I don't think that's going to be enough to make a major difference to the current forecast. Obviously, it's something to think about, but I just don't think it's going to be a major sort of difference maker into tomorrow's threat. And a lot of people think, the higher instability values, the higher threat of severe weather there is. That's not true at all. The instability does not actually matter that much, even in events like this, where we just have so much spin in the atmosphere. Instability is kind of almost irrelevant. Or not irrelevant, but it's close to being irrelevant. It's not like a super big help. Now, we've had I can't remember what tornado it was. It might have been the Moore, Oklahoma tornado, but it was probably about 10 years ago. There was a couple of we've had tornadoes before that have been large and strong, like EF4 plus tornadoes that have happened in the past, that have happened when we have literally no instability. Like, it has happened before. It's not impossible. Now, instability helps, but you don't necessarily need instability for there being strong tornadoes. So just, keep that in mind. I mention the instability a lot because it does show you how much fuel there is in the atmosphere, but once again, it's not going to be a make or break difference tomorrow, in my opinion. I believe the National Weather Service of Norman also said something about this. I'm trying to find their tweet. Oh, here it is. All right, so this is their tweet for tomorrow as well. We've got a few questions about the anticipated cloud cover. It will probably be mostly cloudy tomorrow morning, and just because you can see clouds means that the severe weather threat isn't gone. So just keep that in mind. Now, again, if we got a lot of breaks in the sunshine tomorrow afternoon, that'll definitely increase the threat. If it stays cloudy literally all day tomorrow, I could see there being only maybe 1 storm or 2 storms that are discrete. And then if there's a lot more sunshine, that could actually, increase the amount of supercells that we have. But regardless, I still think it's not going to be a major factor tomorrow. Some days it would be, but tomorrow I just don't think it's that major. Now, if we're talking about Texas, Texas per se, where there's going to be there won't be a whole lot of cloud cover, but, let's just say Texas was cloudy all day tomorrow. I would say there's no way that they're going to see severe weather at all because of that cap that's going to be in place. So, and the cap is harder to overcome. The cap's not as much of an issue in Oklahoma. So, just for reference. Thank you, Becky, for the $10 super chat. Hope you got some rest. I got some rest. But, the sleep has been lacking recently. But I got about 8 hours last night, so we're not doing too shabby. I didn't get back from Disney until like 1 a.m. last night, so good times. Anything bad hitting Georgia? I would say probably no. Thursday, Friday are the main 2 days I would be watching for. I do think there will be a more relatively active weather pattern in the southeast as we go into next weekend and into the following week. But I would say overall, I wouldn't see anything significant happening there. There could be some severe weather, though, Thursday, Friday. But I think the threat right now is overall low. South Central Indiana. I think Indiana's main concern will be Tuesday and as well as Wednesday. This is Tuesday's threat. Once again, this area in particular is where I think the greatest tornado threat will be. Again, subject to change on various ingredients changing. If any major trends happen, any big changes that could very, very easily change. But this is the area that I would expect more of a greater tornado risk for Tuesday. But once again, I think mainly damaging winds and hail will be the main concerns for Tuesday. And then Wednesday, I think will be a more robust severe weather outbreak again. And I think the greatest concern is right in here, right along the Mississippi River and in southwest Indiana. But I think near Indianapolis or just south of Indianapolis, it'll probably be more of a damaging wind, hail, and an isolated tornado risk for Wednesday. And nothing really to panic about at this point, but those will be the 2 days I'd be watching for. You might be wondering about timing. Overall timing for Tuesday will be mostly during the afternoon and evening. Same thing with Wednesday. It wouldn't be really a morning threat per se, at least as of right now. Thank you, Samurai, for the $4.99. I just talked about Kansas City like 5 minutes ago, so hopefully you heard it. If not, just go back like a few minutes in the live stream. How's my boy Omaha, Nebraska doing? Omaha, Nebraska will be primarily damaging winds. I don't think we'll have too much of a tornado risk up there. Let's go back to tomorrow's risk, which is a slight up in Omaha, but the main concern is damaging winds, in my opinion. I don't think we'll have really much of a tornado risk up there. There is a tornado risk, but I think it'll be very low. So, mostly concerned about damaging winds. Again, take the proper precautions. You know, have multiple ways to receive alerts. Have a tornado action plan just in case. Protect any loose line items. Protect your trampolines. Make sure those don't go flying tomorrow. Don't have them be flying saucers tomorrow afternoon. For sure. You don't want, you know, flying trampolines or a flying trampoline in your neighbor's yard or something like that. So make sure, you know, that you're hatching those down. I can't reiterate that enough. If you have a trampoline, you need to make sure it's hatched down tomorrow, because we could have some very significant damaging winds tomorrow. The damaging wind threat right now is hatched across Kansas, southern Nebraska, and northeast Oklahoma and western Missouri. And this is where we could see some very significant damaging winds as high as 80 to 85 miles per hour will be possible. Now, not everybody will see that, but many of you will at least see some level of damaging winds. So, once again, that's the area I'd be watching for. From here on out, by the way, I am not answering questions on very specific towns. If it is please give me a city. At least a city that is well known and somewhere on this map, like Springfield, Jefferson City, or something like that. If you're asking about like a town that has like a population of like 600, I'm not going to know where that is. So for time's sake, just try to be, again, more broad, if you will, like either a region of a state or a city, because I'm not going to answer questions otherwise. It's too much time. Again, it's too time consuming. Near Louisville, though, just north of Louisville, somebody's asking about the Louisville area for Wednesday. I think that's where, again, one of the greater risks for severe weather will be. I don't think Louisville will be in a super significant threat on Wednesday. I think the greatest concern will be just here west, but I wouldn't rule out an isolated tornado or even an isolated strong tornado in that area. Once again, it's not an official outlook that this area is elevated, but that's where I think the more elevated risk would be on Wednesday, where we will have a lot more spin in the atmosphere and a lot more wind shear. So that will be the area that I'm watching for, most specifically there, again, as we go into Wednesday. But strong tornadoes definitely a possibility on Wednesday. A regional severe weather outbreak is also possible on Wednesday, and a moderate threat of severe weather I'm not ruling out for Wednesday. Wednesday looks very favorable, just like tomorrow. Obviously, the risk hasn't been upgraded, but we're still 4 days out. Things could change and will change between now and then. But Wednesday, again, I do think will be more significant overall. Southwest Iowa. Southwest Iowa, the main concern, again, damaging winds and an isolated tornado. The greatest concern, also for Omaha, the greatest concern is from 5 until about 10. And then anywhere in Southwest Iowa will primarily be from about 7 or so up until maybe about, you know, midnight or so. And then it'll be kind of done. But mostly a damaging wind threat for those areas on tomorrow night. Then after tomorrow night, you probably won't see much more for the rest of the week. Hopefully. Well, Iowa and, you know, eastern Nebraska got hit hard the other week with all those large tornadoes, so hopefully that does not happen again. Thank you, Radar Wiley, for the $50 super chat. Please put some hearts in the chat. That is a very generous donation, and I do appreciate your generosity. Thank you, Radar, for your $50 super chat. No message, but I do appreciate your generosity. Tucker, I don't know what you're talking about, just for the record. Thank you, Kelly Ram, for the $19.99. We're going from Cheyenne to Omaha on Monday. Time frame that's best. Yeah, if you're driving from that area, you could probably leave right around, like, I don't know. You probably could leave at any time in, like, right around lunchtime. I don't know how long the drive is, but arrival in Omaha right around 10 should be fine. So if you can get there at 10 or 9, the severe weather should be done by then. So if you can do a late arrival, that's preferable. Now, you will run into storms more than likely if you arrive anytime before 8. I think anywhere between 7 and 9, you could arrive around then, but it's a little bit dicey because there could be some severe storms still in the area there, but that'd be the main time frame. I did not realize how fast the... Okay, sorry. I did not realize how fast the chat was going. 1 second. All right. Again, I'm trying to answer as many questions as possible, just for the record. So, again, I'll try to get to all of them. Waco, again, I think Waco, Texas, not going to see anything. Maybe on Wednesday, some hail or wind, but otherwise not expecting much in Waco. Dallas, Texas, probably going to, again, I don't think we're going to see anything tomorrow. Maybe an isolated storm, but I think the threat is low. And then, again, Wednesday probably being the most significant day for Dallas, which there's a slight risk. Again, I don't expect much on Wednesday as of right now, but if there is severe weather, hail and wind are the main concerns. And Midwest, Ohio. Midwest Ohio. Oh, you're talking about Midwest Ohio. That's an interesting little combo there. Through the week, your main concern anywhere in Western Ohio will be Tuesday and Wednesday, and that'll primarily be across the western half of the state for Tuesday, with damaging winds, large hail, and even perhaps a few tornadoes being possible anywhere basically in the Ohio Valley, but maybe a couple of tornadoes here in Western Ohio. But I think damaging winds and hail are more of the concern. And then for Wednesday, that threat will probably be more elevated in Ohio, especially for the southwest side of the state, perhaps being in a more elevated risk there for damaging winds or maybe an isolated tornado threat. So that's what I'm thinking right now for Ohio. Lesser Antilles for Tuesday. What are we forecasting the Lesser Antilles for? I know we do tropics and stuff, but we don't talk about, there's not gonna be any severe weather there in the Lesser Antilles. All right. Green Bay, Wisconsin. I'm not expecting really anything in Green Bay. Is Green Bay even in the thumbnail today? I don't even think Wisconsin's really in the thumbnail today. I could be wrong. What about Utah? Yeah, let me give you a quick forecast on Utah. Big things are coming there. No, I'm kidding. Oh, by the way, just a heads up. If you are new to the channel, again, make sure to subscribe down below. We are quickly approaching 200,000 subscribers. So if you're new, make sure to subscribe. Again, we'll have severe weather coverage anytime from Monday until Thursday. Tomorrow could be one of our longest live streams in history, just with how long tomorrow's threat will be. So again, if you are new to the channel, make sure to subscribe down below. Also, I do want to mention this real quickly, and then I'll get back to questions. We do have a new t-shirt by high demand. I have now officially made a Drunk NATO t-shirt, believe it or not. Now, I know a lot of you guys have already ordered this, but I haven't mentioned it on a live stream yet. We have this Drunk NATO t-shirt that we've made, and we also have a sticker, which is way cheaper than the shirt. You can check this out on shopmaxvelocity.net. The link will be in the chat from Tucker the Mod. It's also at the very top of the description down below. So if you want to pick one up, that'll be linked down below. I know a lot of people were asking about it. There's two versions of it. There's one with my logo and one without the logo. The one with the logo, it's on the sleeve. It's like $3 more. That was the one you were looking at. And the one that does not have the logo is cheaper. But I know a lot of people were asking about a Drunk NATO t-shirt, so I finally made one for you guys. And everybody was asking, so, all right. I'm in northern Michigan. I don't see tornadoes very often. Can you explain why that is? Most of the time, it's just because of the temperatures not being really high enough. I mean, low pressure systems don't often go in this direction. You got water. I mean, there's a lot of factors why northern Michigan doesn't get severe weather, but low pressure systems would have to kind of be focused like, I mean, you need a low pressure system like here. And it would have to be pretty potent for have severe weather up here in Michigan. You also need a very strong moisture pole. There's not always that much moisture in Michigan because that moisture is traveling from the Gulf all the way up into Michigan. You're not probably going to get a whole lot of that if you're up in northern Michigan. So that's really the main reason why. The main reason is really moisture, but I mean, there's a lot of other factors too. But you would need a low pressure system in this direction. It would have to be very strong, probably negatively tilted, and all that moisture would have to surge, and you would need dew points in the upper 50s, low 60s at least for severe weather. And even then, it's not very common there. Thank you, Anthony, for the extremely generous $49.99 super chat. You guys are literally insane. Missed the action in Oklahoma City by a week, flying there next Monday for a conference. Honestly, I gotta say, you know, if you're in Oklahoma, this is the long term, just real quickly. I've got to say, this week will probably be at least the last significant threat for severe weather week that we'll have, at least for a week or two, because next week, things are going to quiet down substantially. So this week will be very busy, but next week, so going into May 11th and after that, basically, things are going to quiet down a ton. Like, this is the future radar for the next several days. Let me put like that. But, like, you know, we're gonna have this significant event, very strong trough across the northern plains for tomorrow and Tuesday, which will pose the threat for significant severe weather. A redevelopment trough as we go into Wednesday, which will pose another threat for a severe weather outbreak in the Ohio Valley and Mississippi Valley. And by the time we go into Thursday, Friday, Saturday, things dry out, and by next week, very, very, very quiet. So good news long term, not much expected after Friday, hopefully. The Southeast could be in jeopardy, though. But if you're anywhere else in the United States, things look very, very quiet after Thursday. I'm so excited for that because I get to go golfing for a week. I'll be able to go golfing for probably about a week or so. I'll still have videos, obviously, but you know, I think everybody needs a vacation after this. Everybody. I think everybody in the chat right now, everybody that's been impacted by these storms, we need a vacation. This severe weather has been nonstop the last like month. Now, we had a record-breaking amount of live streams in April, and this month, I hope we don't have that happen again, because it was, you know, it's been crazy the last few weeks. Thank you, SPV. Nashville, Middle Tennessee. Yeah, I think Tennessee, the main concern will be Wednesday, not Tuesday. I think Wednesday's your main concern. I think it'll be on the western half of the state for the more significant threat for severe weather, including tornadoes. But if you're in like Middle Tennessee near Nashville, damaging winds and perhaps an isolated tornado threat. Knoxville, probably going to be mostly damaging winds on Wednesday. Just saw somebody ask that in the chat. I think Knoxville mainly going to be Wednesday with damaging winds. Tuesday will have maybe a little threat, but it would probably, again, just be isolated wind and hail with maybe an isolated tornado threat. Just a reminder, guys, we have 6,000 of you. There's one of me, so I'm going to try to answer as many questions as possible. Don't get mad if I don't answer your question. I'm trying my best. There are messages being spammed in chat, so yeah, I'm trying to answer as many questions as possible. Could a SVC upgrade Monday to a high risk for hail alone? I don't know about hail. Wind, or not wind, tornadoes possibly, but I don't think hail would be upgraded to a high risk. I think if we do get a high risk, it would probably be for the tornado threat. So, yeah. But even then, I don't know if we'll get there. I do think a moderate threat, though, could be expanded out into here. That's possible. So the moderate threat could grow. I don't know if there's enough confidence, though, for a high risk, though. I think we need a lot of sunshine in the afternoon for that to happen. And I also do think that we're going to need more supercells than just one or two. If we have like 4 or 5 supercells that are discrete that are being forecasted in this area, I think easily a high risk is in play. But, you know, a moderate threat right now I feel like is appropriate for the current forecast and the parameters and all the ingredients and all that. But the limiting factor right now is going to be the coverage of storms. That's the limiting factor, which is, you know, hopefully we don't have any storms tomorrow. Hopefully there's a magical cap that comes into play, or maybe a fairy just says, hey, we're not going to have storms today. That'd be fantastic, but I just don't think that's going to happen. Realistically here, we are probably at least going to have 1 or 2 discrete cells, and wherever those track towards, you know, they could go anywhere, but wherever those track towards, those are going to produce the most significant threat for tornadoes, where multiple long tracked and strong tornadoes are a possibility. How often do high risks get issued? They're not very often. They're usually, you know, at most once or twice a year, and that even then it's a bit of a stretch. They are not issued very often, and there's a reason why. You know, the severe weather outbreaks that we've had obviously are, you know, and usually we get a severe weather outbreak with like an enhanced or moderate threat, but like when we get a high risk, that means you're almost definitely going to see severe weather nearby, and that doesn't get issued very often. A lot of the time, just because there aren't that many events that do that produce severe weather right in your area that are strong and long track tornadoes or whatever it might be. Wichita right now is under a moderate threat of severe weather, so Wichita, Kansas. Your main concern, in my opinion, is very large hail, but if any discrete cells nearby come towards you, there will definitely be a strong tornado threat, or even semi-discrete. Because, again, this environment here has a ton of spin. I mean, I was showing you the hodographs, which somebody did ask me to do a more detailed breakdown on hodographs, which I'll probably save for a video. I mean, it's not super complicated, but let me show you the hodographs real quick. By the way, the HRRR00Z model run is coming in right now, which is their, you know, every 6 hours they have a bigger model run that comes out with more of the, you know, the 48-hour outlook. We'll probably be live for that. I think we will be still live for that. So yeah, we'll show you guys whatever if there's any changes there. But here's the hodographs for tomorrow, which again, this looks very confusing for many of you that have never seen this before, it will look very confusing. But basically what we're looking at is the wind, the change of wind direction in the atmosphere here across Oklahoma and anywhere basically that's on the map. And so when we get more of the spin, that usually indicates a much higher tornado risk. So when we get more of the spin here that you kind of see, that's representing the change of wind direction as we go aloft. So anywhere from the ground all the way up throughout the rest of the atmosphere. And the more spin that we have, the greater tornado risk there will be, especially if we have storms. This is also overlaid by the instability, which there's going to be plenty of instability tomorrow. But that spin that you see here is definitely a concern and a cause for concern, because that'll lead to the potential for, again, strong and long track tornadoes. Now, if we go to the NAM model for let's say Wednesday, for example, which again, this is just a computer model. It's not, you know, official forecast, but it at least gives you an idea of the environment on Wednesday. Wednesday looks actually a little bit more intense. We got a lot more curvature here in these photographs, which again would mean that we have more spin aloft, and that usually leads again to a more, at least more elevated tornado threat. So Wednesday, again, honestly, Wednesday looks very concerning. If the trends continue in the direction they're going, I would not be shocked at all at a moderate risk on Wednesday. I mentioned it a lot already, but you know, that's what I'm thinking right now for Wednesday. And that would, again, primarily be right along the Mississippi River. Ardmore, Oklahoma. I don't think Ardmore is going to see anything tomorrow. Again, if you see anything, it would be very isolated, with mainly just an isolated hailstorm or two. But I think the threat overall is very low here. Again, we have a cap in place here across Texas and even southern Oklahoma. The moisture content here in the mid to upper levels of the atmosphere also looks to be very low. So if it stays that way, I'm not really expecting anything in this area here. But if there are any storms that get going and get by the cap, we could see very large hail, damaging winds, and an isolated tornado or two. It's a very low risk in my opinion here. It's at least a low chance that we do see storms develop here. In the event that they do develop, we'll have significant severe weather, but it's very unlikely that they develop because of the cap and the moisture content throughout the atmosphere. I would still stay vigilant, stay very weather aware, but I'm not super concerned right now about this part of the Southern Plains. I'm much more concerned about anything that gets going up in here, though, because again, this is a better chance of seeing discrete cells that fire off that produce a strong and long track tornado threat. But again, anything that develops down here is just, you know, it's gonna be much. I think it's gonna be much harder for things to develop down here. That's basically what I'm getting at. And if you're just tuning in, again, please put regions. Do not, or like a very known city, like something that's on the map, like a populated city that I can see just by zooming in a little bit, instead of doing specific towns, because again, I'm not going to be answering questions on specific towns. They are just too time consuming. It takes too long to look all that stuff up for, again, the allotted time in the stream. Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. I don't think Pennsylvania is going to see much. Thursday, maybe. But otherwise, I don't really expect much in Pennsylvania. Maybe even Wednesday, but I just think it's a very, very low and isolated threat. Honestly, Pennsylvania hardly ever sees really anything that significant. When they do, it can be significant, but... No problem, Suzanne. Appreciate you tuning in. Thank you for your generous $9.99. Alright, let me get back to chat here. And if you're just tuning in, make sure to subscribe to the channel. We'll have extensive severe weather coverage throughout the week. Once again, we are currently on the road for 200,000 subscribers. Again, we are currently approaching 200,000 very quickly. I think this number is just catching up right now, but we're going to be closing in on 200,000 subscribers. So if you're new to the channel, make sure to subscribe down below. We're only about 1,200 away. So again, if you're new to the channel, subscribe, and we'll have extensive severe weather coverage beginning tomorrow, running all the way most likely through Thursday. This is impressive, by the way. Here's the updated severe weather outlook for today. That's impressive. We have a very tiny marginal threat here and a very tiny marginal threat here. I wonder if there's actually a tornado risk on either one. Oh yeah, look at that. Got a tiny tornado risk right now near Greenville, right along the Mississippi River. Just saw that on my Twitter feed. Now that is tiny. How's it going, Ray Bear? Welcome back. Atlanta, Georgia, I'm not expecting much in Atlanta, at least until Wednesday or Thursday, but probably Thursday will be your first day of any sort of meaningful time to watch for severe weather. I do think, again, it's a relatively low risk, though, at this time for Thursday and Friday. I think it'll get more active in the southeast, though, as we go into the late week and eventually into next week, like the following week. Thank you, Clint, by the way, for becoming a Velocity member. Caleb, I'm trying. There's so many. I mean, there's comments flying off the board right now. Joplin. I think the main concern for Joplin tomorrow will be damaging winds, maybe a couple of embedded tornadoes in that line of storms. Once again, this is what it would look like right around 10 or 11 o'clock tomorrow. So, again, mostly a linear area of storms with damaging winds, but perhaps an isolated tornado or two as we go into the late evening and eventually into the overnight hours. That goes for anywhere in Southwest Missouri, by the way. I have a lot of people asking about Southwest Missouri. So anywhere there. That's what we're looking at right now. Mod's eyes are going buggy. I know. I can't really slow down the chat any further. I mean, it's already slowed down a ton. Denver, Colorado. I'm not expecting really anything in Denver. This chat. This is what happens when we do forecast live streams. The chats literally just fly. And I can't really do much about it. It's hard to control. What is my golf handicap? That has nothing to do with weather. With that said, I think it's like an 8 or something. Oklahoma City. Oklahoma City, the main concern is going to be, again, mainly very large hail and that tornado threat. It's a little bit questionable if we'll get a discrete cell down here, but if we do, again, all modes of severe weather will be possible. I once again think that a moderate risk extension to the east is possible, mainly for the, the tornado threat, but we'll have to wait and see. But I think, again, any storms that develop here will be very isolated. So you may or may not see hail or tornadoes, but, if you do, it could be very significant. The THRU, once again, only showing one cell that's discrete, but maybe one up here that's kind of semi-discrete. But if we have more of these, let's say there's one down here, it could get pretty ugly tomorrow evening across Oklahoma. And let me see if the THRU model run has come in yet for tomorrow. I don't think it's fully out. All right, we're up to 9 a.m. tomorrow for the THRU model outlook, so we're getting closer. Not far. Getting closer. Thank you, Sunsea, for the $10 super chat. What's going to cause storms in Oklahoma to be more isolated? There's a couple of things. One of the main things that we look at for storm coverage is the K-index, and it's basically a mathematical equation that you can look at that, I think it's called the K-index. Wait, let me just double check real quick. But the K-index essentially would show you the chances of, how many storms are expected for a coverage. And so the lower a K-index is, the lower coverage there usually is. Higher would mean a higher storm coverage. But regardless of that, I mean, a couple of factors that we'd be looking for would be how much moisture there is, and really moisture is one of the things, but it doesn't have a huge part in terms of the storm coverage. I'm trying to think of what else would do it. Again, it's usually the K-index, which again, that's a mathematical equation that's based on a bunch of different factors that can calculate how much a storm coverage is. Yeah, that's probably one of the main things. I'm trying to think of something else that I could think of here that would also kind of contribute to that. I would say the other thing too is just overall, yeah, that's really the main reason. I'll just go with that. I was trying to think of a second reason, which there definitely are more reasons, but that's like the main one. Which again, it's just, if you look up K-index, like meteorologically, you'll probably find a bunch of information on it. Just like how to calculate it, and also, the meaning and all that. Well, that's Central Illinois. Central Illinois, the main concern will be Tuesday. Again, you'll have that line of storms approaching tomorrow morning, or sorry, not tomorrow morning, Tuesday morning, and that'll be mostly going to be a damaging wind threat. It should remain pretty isolated. There will also be a low tornado risk embedded with this for any little, notches that we get in this line of storms. Lower end forcing cap, yeah. I mean, cap's also a big thing. Yeah, cap does limit storms, but Yeah, cap definitely. Forcing a cap. There you go. Those are two other ones. But K-index is one of the bigger things that you can just calculate ahead of time, too. But for anywhere in Illinois, the main concern is Tuesday morning with a line of storms. Again, a couple of embedded notches that could produce an isolated tornado threat, but damaging winds as the main concern. And then once we go into Wednesday, I think the main concern will just be down to your south and east, but you could still see some isolated damaging winds and maybe a low-end tornado risk on Wednesday. But Tuesday's threat mostly in the morning. Hatch does not necessarily mean bigger chance. It just means that a hatched risk essentially means a significant aspect of severe weather is possible. You know, when you look at a hatched risk, let's just go to like the tornado risk, for example, for tomorrow. A hatched risk, all it basically means is that there is a 10% chance within a 25-mile radius of there being strong tornadoes, which would be EF2+. That's all it means. It doesn't mean necessarily that there's a bigger chance of something other than, you know, something strong or huge like hail, for example, because there will be a chance also for huge hail tomorrow. Snowbird, I'm not really expecting much of a tornado risk in Arkansas, honestly. Maybe on the very far northwestern side of the state, if any discrete cells are still going, but I don't really expect much in Arkansas, honestly. And Arkansas has been lucked out a lot this year with severe weather. There's only been like 8 tornadoes or 7 tornadoes so far this year. Surrounding states have been at like 40, like, you know, Oklahoma's at like 45, I think now, or something like that. So, you know, you've been lucky this year, but I think tomorrow is another case where you probably won't have much. You know, you might get isolated damaging winds, maybe a very isolated tornado threat overnight tonight, but I don't expect much in Arkansas. I do think, though, on Wednesday there's going to be a more elevated threat for that, which again would be right here in the Mississippi, you know, river area. Oh, sorry, can't see it. Let me redraw that. This area basically is what I'd be talking about, or this area here, sorta. That's where I think the more significant threat would be on Wednesday. Give or take a little bit of mileage. I kind of misdrew it, but you get the idea. Again, it's not an official outlook, but that would be where I'm looking at the greatest concern. If there's a high risk, where would it be? I mean, predicting a high risk is just not really useful. I think that we need to get the message across that there's a significant severe weather everywhere. That's in the hatched area and in the moderate threat and even in the enhanced risk. I don't think there's any reason to say this is where the high risk is going to be, because I just don't think it adds any value to anybody. I think the main thing that we need to, you know, communicate here is that there is a more elevated threat for tornadoes. There's more elevated threat for hail, especially where the red shaded area is. But again, there's no point in me mentioning where a high risk would be. It just wouldn't contribute to any of the communication that we're trying to do here. Pretty strong Cape tomorrow. There's going to be a lot of instability, but once again, you don't need that much instability in tomorrow's environment for there to be severe weather. You said you weren't going live? I didn't go live yesterday. Today is different. We were going to go live today. It's mostly just an update stream on severe weather tomorrow, and as well as Tuesday, Wednesday, and eventually into Thursday, which again, Thursday I don't think will be as bad. But Thursday will probably be mostly on the East Coast. But I do want to reiterate that Monday and Wednesday will be the most significant days for severe weather. Again, Monday, we already have the moderate threat, but I do think on Wednesday, it's also very, very possible that we also have another moderate threat of severe weather, or at least some sort of enhanced risk. They've already mentioned that enhanced risk is possible. They just don't know where to put it yet from the Storm Prediction Center, but I do think going into Wednesday is going to be another significant severe weather day. So if there are any days that you need to be weather aware on, it's definitely tomorrow here in the Great Plains. Anywhere, if you're in the yellow or orange or red shaded areas, you need to be weather aware and have multiple ways to receive alerts tomorrow. Tuesday, for tossing trampolines on Tacos Tuesday, I do think the threat again is a little bit on the lower side. We could see an enhanced risk somewhere, but regardless, I think the threat is going to be a bit lower than both Monday and Wednesday. I think Tuesday will be a little bit more of a relief day, if you will. Again, relief day, not really relief when it comes to severe weather, but overall for the significant severe weather threat, I think it's much lower for Tuesday. It all recovers Wednesday when we have that next trough develop, and that could again pose a severe weather outbreak here across this, like anywhere in this yellow shaded area. But right now the Storm Prediction Center doesn't have a maximized area, but I've been mentioning it a lot here that I think right in here will probably be one of the more greater threats for severe weather. Let me put that back up on the map here, but this area here. So, but once again, still a few days out from Wednesday, but definitely make sure that you're staying weather aware on Wednesday. Thursday would probably be somewhere over here in like the southeast or east coast, but I just don't think Thursday is going to be that big. We might be live on Thursday too. We'll see, but you never know. I will say, somebody's asking about if the moderate risk could extend further north. I don't know about north, but I do think it could extend further east. But that's all I'm really going to say about it, because again, I just don't think this adds a whole lot of conversation value, because I think anywhere in the orange or red shaded areas, you definitely need to make sure that you're weather aware tomorrow and stay vigilant, because a tornado outbreak is very, very, at this point, very likely that's going to happen tomorrow. I'm not trying to communicate the message here that, you know, about the risks. I feel like are just kind of, they're not irrelevant, but they're definitely not something that you should just basically be only focused on. You know, you should be prepared in a enhanced risk as much as if you are in a moderate risk of severe weather in tomorrow's environment. If you're at a slight risk, you should be as prepared as somebody at a moderate risk of severe weather, because, I mean, a slight risk, not necessarily going to see a strong or long track tornado, but you should still have a tornado action plan in place, multiple ways to receive alerts, and have, or be prepared. That's, you know, the most important thing here. Protect your vehicle, protect plants, all that sort of stuff. I think if you're anywhere in the threat tomorrow, even in the marginal threat, you should be prepared for severe weather, whether that's damaging winds, hail, or a tornado risk, because all of those are in play essentially anywhere in this area. Central Ohio. Central Ohio will be primarily a threat on Wednesday, in my opinion. Tuesday too, but Wednesday as well. Main concern, damaging winds, hail, and maybe a few tornadoes. But again, I think the main concern will probably be damaging winds. We might have an elevated tornado risk on Tuesday on the west half of the state, and then perhaps an elevated tornado risk on Wednesday on the southwest side of the state. But specific details like timing still remains a little bit uncertain, but most of that threat will be during the afternoon and as well as the evening. Thank you, Evan, for your $10 super chat. I do not expect really much of a tornado risk in Texas on Wednesday. It should stay low. If there is any tornado risk, it'll probably be the most maximized here on the northeast side of the state, so like northeast Texas on Wednesday. I have a National Weather Service weather radio. That's awesome, Thomas. Yeah, I mean, honestly, like, this is not a sponsored sort of thing, but I do, like, I highly recommend you have a weather radio. You know, like, I don't care what brand you get, honestly, but, you know, you should have a weather radio if you're anywhere in the Great Plains or Ohio Valley or back into the Mississippi Valley, because obviously these areas see severe weather very often. And you want to make sure that you are prepared for, again, you know, severe weather. And a weather radio is a great tool to have, especially when you go to bed, or if you're just, you know, playing some, you know, video games on your Xbox, got the headset on, and all of a sudden you know the blaring noise, and you're like, whoa, where'd the storm come from? Like, you know, that can definitely blare, you know, the sound out, and you'll be able to, you know, stay weather aware. Yeah, I mean, most weather radios are like, you can get a weather radio for like $30 on Amazon. I mean, they're not that expensive. Yeah, this is not, I'm not, you know, telling you you have to buy one, but it's definitely something that you should have on hand, especially if you're under the gun for severe weather quite often. And once again, this is not sponsored. I'm not being paid to say that. I'm literally just telling you should have one. The National Weather Service, the Storm Prediction Center, literally, you know, they mention it all the time. Have a weather radio. Your local National Weather Service probably has it in like every single graphic when it comes to preparing for severe weather. I do not care what brand you buy. I do not care. Thank you, Melody, for the $5 super chat. For Wednesday, is it possible the morning storms could weaken it a bit? I don't think we're gonna have a repeat of December 10th. Well, I mean, it's not possible, but I don't think we'll have a repeat. But Storms will weaken it on Wednesday. Let me check the future radar real quick. Technically, if we did have storms Wednesday morning, we could have a very rapidly recovering air mass, which has happened very often already this spring. And if that happens, we'll have a more elevated threat there for severe weather. But I don't think we're going to have really any morning storms on Wednesday. I could be wrong. I mean, there's not going to be a whole lot of morning storms. There'll be some, but if we do have a recovering air mass, I think that it's going to be another, significant day. So the recovering air mass is really the most important thing for Wednesday. All right, I think the THRU model's almost gotten through for the latest update here. It's kind of getting through. So this is the latest THRU model run. Let's go back to this screen here. We're almost to the kind of peak of severe weather, but this is the latest THRU model run for tomorrow. So kind of just some new details. Again, overall, no major changes here. We still have that line of storms that'll be ongoing during the afternoon and evening across Nebraska, Kansas, and as well as northern Oklahoma. And then we'll also have a few discrete cells that might try to fire up in front of that line, which those could produce a more elevated tornado threat. And then any of these discrete cells here in Oklahoma will also pose the same concern. Again, these will probably be relatively isolated in Oklahoma, maybe a couple, maybe three, that discrete cells in Oklahoma. Any of them that are discrete could produce a strong and or long track tornado. I think a strong tornado threat could exist if any storms develop out in front of this line, but I think overall the longevity of those might struggle a little bit. And then this would be right around 6 or 7. So again, the THRU model is not fully through yet, but this would be right around about 6 or 7. So again, that'd be your line. Any discrete cells kind of merge with that line, and then maybe a couple more forming out in front of the other discrete cell. But yeah, again, we're not fully through yet. I'll show you guys again once we get a few more hours in that loop. Thank you, Donna, for becoming a Velocity member. Also, thank you, Reform, for becoming a Velocity member. And once again, I'm trying to answer as many questions as possible. If you have any, just leave them in the chat. Again, I highly recommend, if you have any questions, you go back to the very beginning of this live stream and watch the first 20 minutes or so. Again, I go into detail about everything. I might be able to answer your question, but it's not guaranteed. Again, there are over 5,000 of you and there's only one of me, so I'm trying my best to at least ease your cause for concern. That's, again, I'm trying to at least alleviate that a little bit, but also making sure that you're prepared for tomorrow, Tuesday, Wednesday, and perhaps even Thursday. Dragon, yes, it will. Yeah, that'll be saved. Yes. What's worse for St. Louis, Tuesday or Wednesday? Tuesday will be more of a wind threat. So again, the THRU, just this is the future radar, but it gives you an idea that, again, this is mostly linear overnight, tomorrow night into Tuesday morning. So that'll be the main concern. Damaging winds. Maybe a couple of embedded tornadoes, but I think that threat's low. And then by the time we go into Wednesday, I think the threat of severe weather is lower for St. Louis, but damaging winds, large hail, and maybe an isolated tornado. I think a large hail threat will be a bit more prominent on Wednesday comparatively to Tuesday. And it'll be more of a daytime threat. This will be more of an early morning Tuesday threat. Can I look at the significant tornado you mean significant tornado parameter values? I'm guessing that's what you mean. Yeah, I mean, I can show them. It's not really going to add a whole lot of value here, but I can at least show you guys what they look like for tomorrow. Significant tornado parameter values, and this would be start at 4. We'll start at 3 p.m. tomorrow. So again, tornado threat. Oh, I'm on the wrong screen. Oops. There we go. So this will be 3 p.m. tomorrow. Again, values aren't super high. We're basically looking for red or pink colors to kind of pop up to show a higher tornado risk here. So this will be right around 5 to 6. Again, any discrete cells that fire up will have a much more favorable environment, especially here in Oklahoma. By 7, 8, 9, it kind of peaks around then. And again, anything that's discrete tomorrow afternoon and evening will have a more elevated tornado potential. And the THRU actually shows some values upwards of 6 to 7. Yeah, 6 to 7 right there. So pretty high values overall. But basically, again, I'm not super sold on significant tornado parameter values here. I think the hotographs show it a bit better with the spin in the atmosphere, but at least this gives you an idea of where that greatest tornado risk is. And again, this could go a little bit into the overnight hours across parts of eastern Oklahoma and maybe even a small sliver there of northwest Arkansas or southwest Missouri. But I think mostly these storms will be damaging wind producers across Missouri. I think the hotographs show it much better. Significant tornado parameter values, I think, have a purpose, but I just don't think it shows a great purpose here for tomorrow. Hey, dude, I'm really scared. Is Sioux Falls gonna get anything? There's no reason to be scared. There's no reason at all. I mean, again, even if you're in Oklahoma, even if you're in the moderate risk, I would not be scared, all right? You know, there's gonna be severe weather tomorrow, all right? That's pretty much a guarantee across a large chunk of this area. But the good news is that not everybody's going to see severe weather. We're probably only going to have one or two of these cells, even down to here, like Kansas and Oklahoma, that are discrete and that produce that long tracked, long tracked and strong tornado potential. Not all of these will be producing that threat. So, you're probably not going to get anything tomorrow. It's like a 30 or 40% chance of storms really in Oklahoma right now, or at least this part of Oklahoma. But the reason why you want to be, prepared for tomorrow is make sure that you have, is because of that strong tornado potential, the long track tornado potential, and as well as the hail and wind threat. Because, if you see any of those, they will be probably significant. Now, back up in Sioux Falls, which I think is up here somewhere. Yeah, I mean, you're not really even in the risk. It's actually relatively low here. I mean, you might get some damaging wind gusts around like sunset, but that's about it. Maybe a brief tornado, but it's a very low risk up there. Now, granted, again, there is a much more elevated risk tomorrow, and obviously the red is, a moderate risk does not get issued very often, but I do want to remind you, not everybody's going to see severe weather, but as long as you have a tornado action plan in place, multiple ways to receive alerts, and all that sort of stuff, you will be fine. And if you're in a mobile home, you need to make plans ahead of time to go to a sturdy structure, preferably like a brick building or something like that, just something that's sturdy, because mobile homes will not survive in a tornado tomorrow. They'll just be destroyed if they're right in the path of a tornado. Now, granted, again, you might not get hit by a tornado tomorrow, but you could also see damaging winds, which could also cause major damage to a mobile home. We saw it with the tornado that happened back over north of Abilene the other day. So, yeah. Do I ever get a chance to chase storms? If I had a chance to chase storms, I don't think we'd be live today. I don't really have that many chances to chase. My tornado action plan is to get a lawn chair and have a cold drink. That's what some people do. I mean, I can't do anything about it. If you're gonna do that, go for it. I mean, a lot of people in Oklahoma do that, for the record. It's not like, it's not something that's super uncommon. Now, granted, don't be outside when there's lightning in the area, but it's actually, a lot of people do say that if you're in Oklahoma. I know that for a fact. I see it on Facebook and all those other platforms. Friendly reminder, if you're new to the channel, make sure to subscribe down below. Again, we'll have extensive severe weather coverage over the next few days, and we are almost at 200,000 subscribers. If you have not already, hit the subscribe button down below. It's free to do, and it's the red button down below, subscribe. I think we could probably hit that if everybody subscribed right now that's on the stream, but you never know. There you are, Arkansas. Appreciate the $4.99. And a video camera. There you go. You gotta have a camera. You gotta have everything. Need the entire setup. Tornado outbreak tomorrow. I expect a tornado outbreak tomorrow. Hopefully we don't have one, but unfortunately everything is trending towards there being a tornado outbreak. Enrico, that does not make a difference. Just an FYI. If you unsubscribe and subscribe again, it does not make a difference. The cape increased. Well, yeah, we'll have Connor tomorrow. Yeah, Connor Croft will be with us. Yeah, we're only gonna have one chaser tomorrow. Once again, all of our computer upgrades are coming, hopefully by the end of this week. HRRR's trending on Twitter. Of course it is. It's gonna be trending tomorrow morning, probably. DFW this week? I think Wednesday's really the only day I'd be concerned about. Otherwise, I think Monday and Tuesday, I'm not really expecting much there. I wouldn't be surprised if we had severe weather tomorrow, but, I mean, the cap's going to be in place. I just don't think we're going to have anything with that cap being in place in Texas. Here's the latest HRRR model run. Again, we got that line of storms that fires up right during the mid to late afternoon hours, anywhere from Nebraska back into Oklahoma. Anything discrete will produce a more elevated tornado threat, with long, tracked, and strong tornadoes being a possibility. This is by 6 to 7. Those storms continue to track across Oklahoma. And then we have multiple storms all across parts of northeast Oklahoma by the late evening. Again, I would not be surprised with an extension to the east with a moderate risk, but we'll see. And then everything becomes linear after that as we go into the overnight hours, with maybe a couple more tornadoes being possible in Missouri, southern Iowa, western Illinois, and possibly northwest Arkansas. What breaks the cap? Either temperatures that are cooler aloft, or like basically temperatures cool down aloft, or temperatures that warm up near the surface. So it depends. I mean, it could be heating, it could be cooling, but it depends on where you are in the atmosphere. Is this the biggest outbreak of the year, in your opinion? I don't think so. I hope I'm right that it will not be bigger than what we've seen the last few weeks, but, you know, the environment tomorrow is very ripe for strong and long track tornadoes, and anything that's discrete will definitely produce that threat. We know the timing for these events. We really only know the timing for Monday and Tuesday. Wednesday is a little bit more hairy, but it's probably going to be mostly afternoon and evening, and perhaps even overnight. Thank you, Anthony. Appreciate it. We're not at 200K yet, but we're getting pretty close. We are getting awfully close. We just crossed 199,000 subscribers. Holy cow! This is crazy. By the way, I just want to throw it out there. Like, this is crazy. Like, the fact that we were literally at 100K 90 days ago today, and we could get to 200K, which is just insane. An insane number. Okay. Oh yeah, DFW is Dallas-Fort Worth. That's basically anywhere North Texas, honestly. I just don't expect much other than Wednesday. I think this entire area is going to be a very... I think tomorrow is just going to be very, very quiet. There might be a storm, and again, if a storm develops, it could be significant, but it's highly contingent on the cap. I just don't think storms are going to overcome that cap. And I also don't think there's enough moisture in the mid to upper levels. Once I'm a meteorologist, what are the plans? Currently YouTube, but that could always change. I used to be in Denton crazy. Used to be. Love Texas, by the way. I would say Texas is like the best state to live in. North Texas in particular. So shout out to anybody who lives in Texas. Obviously depends on who you are, though. If you love cold weather, go to the northern plains. I mean, the heat sucks in the summer in Texas, but it's an awesome state. What's the worst case scenario for Wichita? Very large hail and tornadoes. I mean, again, storms anywhere here could produce up to 4-inch diameter hail, possibly even larger than that. So if anything's discrete or even semi-discrete, we are going to have a very significant hail threat. But that also goes with the tornado threat. Anything that is discrete or semi-discrete will have a much more elevated tornado risk. I know, Wyatt. I remember you. You're an OG. It's crazy. DFW's getting crowded. I know. Yeah, when I left Texas a few years ago, it was getting crowded. But still an awesome area. Traffic is probably getting worse, but they had some pretty good city planning. What's the severe weather times for Tuesday? Mostly a morning threat, and then we could get an afternoon threat going across the Ohio Valley. So we'll have that line of storms push across the Midwest, and then some sort of redevelopment will probably happen during the afternoon. Let me see if I can pull up a future radar for you. I'll have to do it on Pivotal Weather. I don't think the HRRR model goes out far enough yet, so we can't do that. I can probably do the NAM 3K. Friendly reminder, if you're just tuning in, make sure to subscribe to the channel. Click the like button down below too. This is what the NAM model shows for Tuesday, which again, I don't think Tuesday is going to be a big day, just for the record. But the NAM 3K model is essentially showing for Tuesday, this line of storms pushing across Illinois kind of weakens out, get a few storms here across Indiana and Ohio, and if the atmosphere recovers quick enough, we could get a few discrete cells in the afternoon that produce some large hail damaging winds and maybe a few tornadoes, but it doesn't look super significant. It's going to depend on the atmosphere recovering quick enough, basically. But I think the majority of the storms will be during the morning, and then some redevelopment in the late afternoon or evening could be a possibility. I just don't think the threat is going to be that high. Thank you, Jordan, for the $4.99. Golf tournament in Fort Smith, Arkansas on Tuesday. What are the chances it's rained out for Tuesday? Let me look. I don't know if that. I don't really know that off the top of my head, but I'll check it out for you. Is it like during the morning or afternoon? You know, like a more generalized time, that would probably help. Because the morning there will be rain. The afternoon should be drier. Again, there will probably be at least some storm development during the late afternoon. It looks like kind of like, again, rain during the morning, and then by the afternoon, things are kind of dry, probably up until about 4 or 5 or so. So that's kind of what I'm expecting. I don't think it'll be rained out, though. But I would expect at least some isolated storm chance tomorrow. Or, sorry, not tomorrow. Tuesday. I keep saying tomorrow. Tuesday. I feel like today's Monday. I don't know why, but I'm talking about Tuesday. Tuesday, again, morning, probably a little bit of rain up until about 5 or 6 a.m. Probably wet on the golf course, and then probably more storms during the mid to late afternoon. What's the schedule for tornadoes on Monday? I think, again, the main time frame to watch for strong and or long track tornadoes will be from approximately 4 to 10. It depends on where you are, but that's for the greatest area. So I'm not gonna really draw lines, but basically anywhere in this area will probably be mostly from 4 to 8, and then eastbound over into this area will be mostly from like 8 to 12 or so. Again, give or take a couple hours on that time frame, but that's what I'm expecting right now in terms of the greatest concern. But that moderate risk area, I think, will have the greatest concern, basically, as we go into the afternoon and very early evening. And then as we go closer to Tulsa in northeast Oklahoma, I think this area stays active all the way through the early overnight hours. So I think 4 to 5 hours of severe weather is going to be at least what you're probably, or at least storm activity will be what you're looking at. That would be probably mostly after sunset, but there could be some storms lingering there around sunset as well. Eddie, it's pretty low. Nashville, I don't think will have much of a tornado risk. The highest chance would probably be Wednesday, but even then, I don't think it's going to be that high in Nashville for a tornado risk. The soundings in Oklahoma look nightmarish. I wouldn't get too caught up in the soundings. Don't freak yourself out too much. Again, I know there's going to be some big storms tomorrow, but this would be like an example sounding for tomorrow. So I'll go ahead and show you anyway, but this is basically what we're looking at. Wow, super saturated. The THRU is showing some super saturation here in the atmosphere. But I mean, when you look at this, the wind profiles obviously are one thing that's going to jump out at you. The hodograph's also pretty organized, showing, again, all that turning motion in the atmosphere. But instability is there. We don't need a lot of instability for tomorrow's threat, but there's instability. Moisture's high enough. I mean, we got dew points at the surface in the mid to upper 60s. Lots and lots of wind. That's the one thing that points out to me the most. Got wind galore in the atmosphere. Reminds me a lot of what we just saw last week. And we had a lot of wind shear throughout the atmosphere, and you know, if that stands true, we're definitely gonna have that chance for tornadoes. This would be a little bit earlier. So, you know, once again, a lot of wind. I mean, winds are strong. Like, this is in knots. We got 30 to 35 knots near the surface. Again, that's in the lower levels, not at the surface, but just a little bit above the surface. Even above the surface near the low-level jet, we still got 50 knots or so. So, again, pretty curved hodographs. So, yeah, it looks pretty organized for tomorrow, which, again, is why they have a moderate risk. You can look at a lot of different things to justify why there's a moderate threat of severe weather. Hey, Jeff, for the $9.99, Topeka, Kansas. I think overall Topeka is mostly going to be a wind threat, but you could get a couple of embedded tornadoes in eastern Kansas. Main concern is from about 6 until 10 for Topeka and surrounding areas. Kansas City, you're going to be from about 7 until about 11 or so for the greatest threat for severe weather. It's a generalized time frame. You could see storms anytime in that time frame. Could still see storms after and before it as well, but that's just the, again, generalized time frame. But yeah, again, this would be 7, 8, 9. Again, mostly a line, which would be mostly damaging winds. That also goes for Manhattan. So again, any surrounding areas. So see Manhattan in the chat. Same thing there. This is mostly during the PM, Tammy. All these storms mostly in the afternoon or evening. Overnight would be for anywhere in, I mean, you could still see storms down in here during the like late evening, but even into the overnight hours here potentially. And then these storms over here will be almost all in the AM hours Tuesday. So overnight, Monday night to Tuesday morning across the Midwest, and also back through Missouri and Arkansas. By the way, timestamp is at the top of your screen just for reference. It is in Central Time, so just a heads up there. That is all in Central Time at the top of your screen. A timestamp is there, just so you know what time we're looking at on the THRU, which again, this is just a computer model. It's not exactly what's going to happen, but it gives you at least a simulation of what we can expect. Where's my bed? That bed might be coming back. I don't know yet, though. Again, I'm going to be setting up my desk tomorrow before we go live. We're going to have a new desk for tomorrow's live stream. That's one of the major upgrades that we're doing. It's not really the biggest one, but it's an upgrade that we're doing so we can fit both the laptop and the desktop computer. So again, we're going to have like 6 different monitors and a bunch of other upgrades to the studio, but that desk is going to be one of the biggest upgrades. And so once we do that, I will have to determine whether we have to move the bed back or not. So it might return. I should have the desk up, though, by tomorrow. I'm hoping it's up by tomorrow because I'm going to be taking all my computer stuff down off the desk I'm on right now. I'm going to have to do a quick little cycle to go live tomorrow because that's going to be happening around like 11 or so. And so right now the plan tomorrow to go live will probably be closer to like 2 or 3. And we'll probably be live all the way through about 11, 12, or 1. We might even be live overnight. I don't know yet. I could pull like a 12 to 16 hour live stream off if I really wanted to, but we'll see. I mean, this threat is going to be going on like all day and also nighttime. It's going to be a long day tomorrow. So again, if you are new to the channel and you need severe weather coverage for tomorrow, we'll be live. And make sure to subscribe to the channel. We are once again approaching 200,000 subscribers. If 800 of you right now hit the subscribe button, we could hit 200,000 subscribers. So make sure to subscribe down below. That would be pretty crazy if we did. I don't know if we will today, but it is possible. It is a possibility. Also, for those that are members, the current plan is to have that computer building stream on Friday. Could be Thursday if the severe weather isn't significant enough for me to go live, but we'll see. New subscriber when you mentioned Connor. I mean, we have Storm Chaser Connor Croft with us for most of these severe weather events anyway. He'll be with us tomorrow through Wednesday, is my guess. And then eventually, once that new computer is all built and set up, we'll have 2 Storm Chasers. We'll have both him and most likely Stormrunner Media. Byron, the THRU shows everything north of Oklahoma City, but I would not be too caught up in the THRU. Again, it's not always accurate. And the reason why is because we could easily see a storm down here. It's kind of predicting that there's a bit more of a cap in place down here, but if it's not going to take much for that to be overcome near Oklahoma City for 1 or 2 of these storms to get going. So I would not be too caught up in this. Yeah, it's giving you a general idea of what to expect. I do think, though, down here, we're probably not going to see much of anything. If one storm gets going and gets over this cap and basically beats it here near, like, North Texas, we could see some very large hail come out of one of these storms. And if that does happen and it enters into this environment here, we could get a strong tornado, which is why we have that strong tornado risk even down in here southeast of Oklahoma City, which also would go for any of these storms. Again, most of these storms tomorrow will be moving due east. But I would expect if any storms do try to fire up here in North Texas, they might kind of go a little bit more east-northeast. Probably more east, but they could kind of, you know, wiggle wobble a little bit up to the northeast. But storm motion tomorrow should be mostly east. You know, the good news is, you know, if you don't want, you know, super... This is, like, we could just do a general... there's a way to do this not by doing the... the other way. But this is basically giving you an idea of hour by hour how fast these will be moving. So any supercells that develop here in Oklahoma tomorrow will probably be around 40 to 45 miles per hour. It's at least what the HRRR showing. And any storms up here to the north will be slow, probably initially in central Kansas, and they'll start to speed up a little bit as we go into the evening. And eventually by the overnight, this should be a pretty quick moving line of storms. I'll talk more about Arkansas severe weather for Wednesday, probably in another stream. It'd just be easier to do it then. I mean, I've already mentioned it a bunch. Like, if you go back to the beginning of this live stream, first 20 minutes or so, I talked a lot about Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. And, yeah, I'll just go back in the stream, honestly. If you have any questions on that, because I talked about it a bit. I mean, there's not really a whole lot to say other than there's probably going to be a more elevated tornado risk on the northeast side of the state on Wednesday, but even then it's just, again, the specific details are still pretty uncertain on that day. Thank you, Conan, for the 2 months being a minimum velocity member. I don't like the weather tomorrow for Manhattan, Kansas. I don't like the weather anywhere in here tomorrow. You know, it'd be nice if we just had sunshine and rainbows tomorrow, but unfortunately we have to deal with tornadoes. Thank you, Darren, for becoming a minimum velocity member. And welcome back to the Velocities. Also, thank you, Brent, for becoming a Velocity member. Dayton, Ohio. I think Dayton, Ohio, your main concern will be probably Wednesday, but maybe even Tuesday evening. But more than anything, it'll probably be more of a threat on Wednesday. HRRR almost goes through Tuesday evening, so if there's anything I can show you, I'll show you. This is a better look. The NAM3K model didn't really show storms on Tuesday. This is a better view of Tuesday. So this will be Tuesday morning at the line of storms moving across Illinois and Indiana, and then eventually by around lunchtime, storms continue to move east. Then we get some large hail damaging windstorms going with maybe an isolated tornado threat. Overall, I'm not seeing too much here, though, that's organized. We'll have a pretty rapidly recovering air mass here, so storms should be able to fire up in the afternoon, but they don't look super significant. It looks like most of the threat on Tuesday will probably be hail and wind. There could be a couple of tornadoes, primarily, I think, in this area. We could get like a 5% tornado risk in here. It's just pre-guessing it, but that would probably be when we're watching for that. But, yeah. Expected start time tomorrow? I don't really know. 3 p.m. Central, maybe? Maybe 6 p.m. Central? I don't really know, honestly. Just click the bell icon down below so you're notified when we go live, because I honestly don't know. It'll probably be around 3, though. 3 p.m. Central or 2 p.m. Central is my guess. But it could be a little bit later. Just depends on trends, really. Joshua, you click the join button down below or click the link in the description. A huge shout out to anybody that's picked up the Drunk NATO t-shirt. Just want to throw it out there. I'm surprised how many people actually got one. So, if you guys want to pick one up, the link's at the top of the description. If you do more than 12 hours, you need a separate live stream. I am well aware of that. I know. There's also a chance that if we do end up seeing a upgrade to a high risk or something like that, I could start a live stream around 12:30 or so, or around 1, to kind of go over that. And then we'll go from there, but I'm not sure yet. I'm setting up my desk tomorrow, so again, the hope is that that desk can be set up before I go live. That new desk. I'm not sure if it will, but again, the hope is that that happens. Alright, I don't think we're... I don't know. Maybe we can. We're currently 650 subscribers from 200,000. I'd much rather hit this number today than tomorrow. So if you've not already, make sure to subscribe to the channel. I don't want to hit 200,000 in the middle of a tornado warning tomorrow. It just would not be good. So if you're new to the channel, and make sure to subscribe. We'll be live again tomorrow for severe weather coverage. We'll be live on Tuesday, Wednesday as well. So subscribe to the channel now so I don't have to do this tomorrow. Because it might happen tomorrow in the middle of a tornado warning. And that would not be good. Build the table on stream. I'm not building the desk on stream. I would, but it'll take too much time. Cashew, there is a chance for a violent tornado tomorrow, but again, it's statistically I could give you a chance for it, but like it's just, it doesn't really matter. I think either way, if you're anywhere in the orange or red shaded area, you should be prepared for tornadoes. I think just thinking about there being a potential for a violent tornado is not going to really, you know, make a big difference here, because I don't know the answer to that. We could, we also might not. It's not something you really can forecast. You can forecast, I mean, the potential at least for that, but it's just, again, it's not really helpful in this case. I think just the most important thing to get from today's stream, if you're in the orange or red shaded areas, you need to stay vigilant tomorrow. You need a tornado action plan in place. If you're in a mobile home, you need to make sure you have a sturdy structure in your head on where to go. Because again, all these things need to be thought about right now. Like, you should be thinking, you should have your tornado action plan in place now and not tomorrow, like tomorrow when you're under a tornado warning. You should have that in place now so you're knowing where you're going to go. I'm not saying camp out in your bathroom all night tonight, you know, waiting for there to be a tornado warning. All of a sudden you know, send an angry email to me tomorrow afternoon or evening when there's no tornado warning, and you're like, you told me you should stay in your tornado shelter spot for 24 hours or whatever. I'm like, no, I didn't. You know, if you're under a warning, you use that tornado action plan. You don't use that now, because it's not gonna do anything. No, don't sleep in your bathroom tonight because there's gonna be tornadoes at like possibly 6 o'clock tomorrow evening. What about Texas? I don't think we'll have much in Texas until Wednesday. Maybe an isolated storm tomorrow, but the threat should stay low. It actually depends on the news station, Bust. Some news stations have a more aggressive approach to weather. Some have a more conservative approach to weather. I would lean towards us having a slightly more aggressive approach to weather here on the Max Velocity channel. That's actually kind of debatable. Some people think I'm too conservative with weather forecasts, but either way, you know, some stations actually do have a more, you know, a tendency towards either being more dramatic or even being more conservative. So it varies on the station. I don't know which stations do or don't, but it's a tendency that does exist. Now, do I agree with having a more dramatic approach? I mean, I don't mind it, especially if it's a more significant severe weather day. A conservative approach for a day like tomorrow, I feel like is kind of a little bit too low-key. Unbiased, maybe. Appreciate you being a 9-month member. Maybe. I'll consider it. Be a members only stream if we do that. Getting married on Tuesday. Congratulations. How's Louisville, Kentucky? Louisville, you'll have some storms probably during the late afternoon and evening. I think the storm coverage is going to look a little bit higher, so you'll probably have like a 60 to 70% chance of storms. So unfortunately, I don't think we're going to have great weather for that in the afternoon or evening. The best chance for storms will probably be from like, I don't know, 3 to 7 or something, 3 to 8. I can pull up the future radar and show you Louisville real quick, as it is a special day for you. Alright, so this will be the timing. Right around 12 or so, there'll be some storms plowing through, and then more storms fire off during the afternoon and evening. It looks to be a pretty rainy and stormy day, though, overall. I don't think we'll have too many, you know, significant severe weather events here. It should be mostly damaging winds and a little bit of maybe some hail, but most of these storms don't look super duper significant. Now, again, I would say weather aware, because I mean, you're gonna have storms probably almost all afternoon, but yeah, I mean, there'll be kind of on and off. It's not gonna be like all afternoon or evening. So if you can move it indoors, it'd probably be preferable. Thank you, DK, for becoming a 19-month VIP Velocity member. I really do appreciate that. Thank you, Samuel, for the $20 super chat. Saw my first tornado a fourth of a mile away from me in Lincoln, Nebraska on April 26th. That is crazy. That's actually really crazy. I'm glad you stayed safe. Yeah, I mean, there were some huge tornadoes that day. I think all of them were EF3 or EF2 or EF1 or EF0. I don't think we had any EF4s, but yeah, that was a crazy day. Thank you, Ella, for becoming a Velocity member. Also, thank you, Dustin. Thank you, Waco, for the $5 super chat. I'm ready for severe weather to be over with. I am too. Like I'm trying to go on this golfing trip to see, you know, some family in a week. And I really hope that following week is not that bad, because I would much rather go golfing than have to cover another week of severe weather. It's been ridiculous recently. Now, I love doing it, but like, you know, I think all of us can agree we've had too much severe weather in the last like 4 weeks. because I've had almost non-stop live streams beginning from late March all the way until now. We haven't had like a solid 4 or 5 day period where there's been like no severe weather. It's been very, very uncommon. The weather has been crazy recently. April was the second most tornadic month that we've ever had on record. The only one that was more active was 2011, which had 2 times more tornadoes than this past April, which is actually crazy to think about. We had about 700 tornadoes in April of 2011. 2024, we had like 300. And that was the second place, by the way, is 2024. So really crazy stuff. Just an update. We're about 500 subscribers from 200,000. Again, subscribe to the channel so we don't have to celebrate this tomorrow, because yeah, if we have a tornado warning tomorrow, it's not gonna be a good thing if we hit that number. Hey, Ella for the 1999. How do I get a Drunk NATO t-shirt? Go to the top of the description. At the very top, the link is there. I'll also post it in the chat a few times so you can actually see it. Again, this is the website. Once you get there, you'll see the selection. We have 2 t-shirts for the Drunk NATO. We also have a sticker somewhere, probably near the bottom. Yeah, the Drunk NATO sticker. I did make a change, by the way. A lot of people were requesting it, and now it says Drunk NATO. It does not say Drunk Tornado. So there you go. There's 2 versions of it, one with the logo, one without it. And it's like a $3 difference. The logo is on the sleeve. So it's a typical severe weather season so far. I don't know about that. This has definitely been more active than usual. I mean, we had, again, April had the second most tornadoes on record. So I kind of disagree with that. Also, I don't know if Carbon is here, but thank you, Carbon, for mailing me some of these tornado socks. Actually pretty cool. Appreciate that. I'll probably wear them tomorrow. But if you are here, Carbon, I do appreciate you sending me some socks. Good old tornado socks. Oklahoma Mondays go crazy. Yeah, it's been crazy. Lucky, I use Radar Omega. The link is at the very bottom of the description. Wednesday has just been upgraded from what I've seen. It hasn't been officially upgraded. They don't usually upgrade risks 4 days out, like at a time like now. Rest? No, we don't have any 8-inch shirts. I don't think we're ever gonna do that. It'd be funny though if we had like an 8-inch shirt with a pan of brownies on it. That'd be so funny. Maybe a tornado in Longview, Texas. I think Longview is gonna have a very low threat for severe weather. The only day I'd be concerned about is Wednesday. Which, once again, Wednesday you do currently have a slight risk for severe weather. I went through a tornado drunk once. It's not what that means. No, a drunk NATO is when we have a tornado that does some weird things, like going back, like it includes, like, you know, a tornado that does this, it like kind of goes backwards like that, like a big U-turn. A little bit different. Thoughts on Wednesday? I think Wednesday, again, is going to be a big day. I think Wednesday is a severe weather outbreak, almost undoubtedly, unless major changes happen. And I usually don't say this 4 days out. Like, I usually do not tell people this is going to be an outbreak, but I have a feeling, a very strong feeling that Wednesday is going to be an outbreak, with the greatest tornado threat being in here more than likely. Now, granted, again, we're still 4 days out. Things could change, and hopefully things do change. But I do think Wednesday, again, will be a significant day for severe weather where multiple tornadoes, damaging winds, and potentially some giant hail will be possible. Again, I'm not trying to do this to scare you, but I'm just telling you, again, that's what is possible on Wednesday, in my opinion. That's my forecast right now. Hopefully it changes, but unfortunately, I think Wednesday is a big day. Thank you, Jake, for the $10 super chat. What's my thoughts on the 2 super wicked looking storms the last 2 weeks? One being the Drunk NATO from Chattanooga, Oklahoma, and the other day. Yeah, I mean, it looked like a hurricane on radar. It was kind of crazy, but I mean, I've kind of already gone over my thoughts. It was insane, but I honestly have to say the tornado that we had in Robert Lee, Texas, I thought was way more insane. Like I thought that couldn't be topped. The one near Chattanooga, I didn't think that could be topped. And I think what we saw in Robert Lee, Texas the other day, I think it was topped. That radar imagery that we had was insane. With that said, Chattanooga was still pretty crazy. I just don't think it was as crazy as what we saw in Robert Lee, Texas, where we had that tornado that did some really crazy stuff. Because this is the comparison on radar. We essentially had a U-turn with the one near Chattanooga, and then the one that was down near Robert Lee, it did something like that. It was like bumpy, and it kind of went like that. I mean, it was much weirder. It had a much weirder track. So I'd have to say the Robert Lee tornado was by far crazier. But other than that, I mean, I kind of already went over my thoughts on the live stream that night. Which, by the way, those live streams are all public. You can go watch back, or you can go back and watch them if you want. But that tornado, I mean, if it hit like a home or something, that could have been catastrophic. We just don't know. I mean, it was rated, I believe, a high-end EF1, but it only hit like I think it hit 2 places. I saw some damage track of it. It didn't look super wide either, but again, I could be wrong. There's been some mixed things on that. We didn't have a whole lot of photographic evidence from that tornado. Fox News posted a story about the anticyclonic tornado. Yeah, the anticyclonic tornado was also very interesting. Yeah, that was... Again, I think that's the first ever PDS anticyclonic tornado we've ever had. Just crazy. Crazy to think about. Also, yeah, it's pretty rural out there. Yeah, Southwest Oklahoma, it's very rural in that particular area where that tornado happened. So... Does anybody know if the one near Robert Lee has any sort of survey damage yet done? I don't know if I mean, I can probably check the website. I don't know if they've released anything official on that one yet. This tornado event that we're looking at on screen right now is tomorrow, and then the one that I showed you a few minutes ago is Wednesday. Casey Royal, I'm not legally changing my name. I'm not gonna change my last name to Velocity. I don't see any survey damage yet for the Robert Lee tornado, but I could be mistaken. So cool if you did. I bet it would. Bet it would. We're now 450 subscribers from 200k. Yeah, if you're new to the channel, subscribe down below. It's free to do. Hit the right button down below and subscribe. If you know any friends, family that need weather coverage tomorrow, have them hit the subscribe button. I'm really hoping that we hit this tonight and not tomorrow during the live stream. Because, again, we don't want that to happen during a tornado warning. It's gonna be a grind, though. I mean, right now we're at 199,545. It's still 450 away. You've been live 25 times in 1 month? Yeah, we went live 25 times last month. Which, granted, it was about 21 of the 30 days that we went live on, but we had a few days where we had a couple of different live coverages. DK, not necessarily, but the hurricane season is going to be amped up because of the really warm water temperatures. And water temperatures already in the Gulf are pretty close to 80. Some areas are already at 80, so the hurricane season is probably going to be very, very active. But it's not directly correlated. I think a lot of the reason why we're having this significant severe weather season is because of this transition between El Nino and La Nina. We're now 400 away, by the way. The number's jumping. 400 subscribers from 200k. I'm keeping a close eye on it because I don't want to miss it if we do hit it. Kansas City. I think Kansas City is mostly going to be damaging winds. Maybe a couple of embedded tornadoes. That'll be primarily from like 7 to 11. We're long overdue for an EF5. I'm glad we haven't had an EF5, honestly. I don't think anybody wants to see another EF5 tornado. About northwest Arkansas, I think the main concern will be like after midnight with maybe some damaging winds and maybe an isolated tornado. It's going to depend on if we get any discrete cells up here that continue in northwest Arkansas. I think the threat though overall is low. I would be a little bit more concerned honestly about Wednesday, primarily in northeast Arkansas, not northwest Arkansas. That's what I'm thinking right now for the overall threat. All right, this number's climbing quick. We're currently 320 subscribers away from 200,000. And if you're new to the channel and haven't already, make sure to subscribe down below. Probably gonna hit it in this. I think we will hit it in this stream. I'm gonna stay live until we hit it, so make sure to subscribe. And please do not unsubscribe so I have to be live longer. I'd appreciate it. Do I also cover hurricanes? We do. We do cover hurricanes. Wow, this number is jumping right now. Holy crap. The number's like jumping up like crazy. Or now, oh, it's slowing down. Every time I show it, the number just jumps. 250 away. This is actually insane. This is literally crazy. I should have it on the right side of the screen. I don't know if I can embed it. I don't know if I can embed that, though. I'll just save it. 230 away now. I don't have anything planned for 200K, just for the record, so don't expect anything. Other than the members-only computer building live stream later this week, hopefully, as long as the graphics card comes in. Literally, the only thing I'm waiting on right now is the graphics card. And it's currently expected to come around Friday. I hope it comes before Friday, because I don't want to have to deal with the last-second planning of that live stream. Milwaukee, Wisconsin. I'm not expecting much in Milwaukee. Maybe some damaging winds going into Tuesday morning, but against a relatively low threat. We're 150 away. I'm gonna make this smaller so I can kind of put it on the screen here. There we go. Oh, I guess I click Radar Omega, it goes away. Alright, we're 150 away from 200,000 subscribers, which is insane. Riley, I would. I mean, I've talked to Ryan a little bit. I talked to him briefly. I mean, I've worked with Ryan Hall. I don't know how I would. That's the problem. Because I feel like we're kind of similar in the way that we just, we do broadcast weather. I mean, I could probably pull up a green screen and do some green screen weather, but I don't know what added value that'll do compared to what we already do. What video card did I get? I got a 4070 GTX. I don't have it yet. I have some of my other stuff behind me I could probably show you, but like, I'll just show you on Friday. This number is just, it's climbing. It's literally crazy. Guys, we were at 194,000 subscribers for the record, like, yesterday. I don't know how in the world we got to this point. I couldn't tell you. I don't know how this number's been going up this much. Like, it's actually really crazy. I do not use the Weather Channel radar, no. 95 away. This is insane. Just for the record, we were at 100,000 subscribers 90 days ago. Which is literally crazy. Can you hit play? The play button doesn't do anything. 70 away. I like how the viewership is just climbing right now. I'm waiting for the sub count at 200,000. Holy cow. I really didn't think we were gonna hit it tonight either. And we're like about 50 away. Now while we're at it, make sure to check out the Drunk NATO t-shirt. It's at the top of the description if you want to pick one up. Drunk NATO t-shirt is out in case you're interested. Okay, this number is jumping quick. That's the graph, by the way, over the last like 30 days. 20 away. 15. 10. And we have officially hit 200,000 subscribers has officially been reached. Holy crap, that's insane. That is literally insane. This number does not look right. It just does not look right. Oh my god. I cannot even... I've never envisioned ever getting to this point. I mean, that's just a massive number. And it's still going up. I mean, that's just insane to look at. I mean, holy crap. Thanks, John. Holy... I don't know what to say. I mean, you know, it's pretty surreal. I mean, it's literally insane. I don't have words. Wow. That's all I can say. It's just wow. Can somebody screenshot when I hit 200K and send it to me on like Twitter or something so I can tweet it? I wasn't ready to take a screenshot. I don't even think we had the exact number at 200K. There's too many people subscribing at once. Wow. Well, I mean, I gotta say, thank you guys for the support. I mean, it's a crazy milestone on its own. And I do appreciate, again, all of you guys a lot. Love what I do, and, you know, hopefully I can continue to help a lot more of you guys. But that's a pretty crazy number to hit. Yeah, that number just jumped by like 50 when it hit. I mean, that was insane. Wow. That's all I can say is wow. Wow. Okay, one of my viewers got it exactly at 200K. Holy crap. Who was this? Thank you, oh, thank you, Bust. Appreciate you sending that to me. Got it right on the nose at 200K. I just hit 100K, by the way, 90 days ago. Just want to throw that out there. If you didn't already hear the backstory. I gotta make a Twitter post for this real quick. I'll get back to chat in a second. All right, tweet is going out now if you want to check it out. I mean, it's short and sweet. I'm not gonna make it like a 6-page essay, but I did that at 100K. But yeah, it's pretty crazy stuff. Pretty crazy stuff. Now into 300K. I think the next milestone would be 250. All right. Thank you, by the way, to K-Jack for becoming a 21-month minimum velocity member. Thank you, Arkansas. Appreciate that. Thank you, Miranda, as well, for becoming a moderate velocity member. Thank you to Gary for becoming a maximum velocity member. And thank you, Ann, for becoming a minimum velocity member. I do appreciate it. And welcome to the Velocities. How old is my channel? I mean, it's technically like 10 years old, but I didn't use it up until like 2 years ago. So, I mean, we've been on YouTube since about late 2019 or so, but like a lot of that was just 1 or 2 videos every like 5 months. It wasn't much. It really, I mean, I would say we really took it more seriously at like 1,000 subscribers right around April of 2022. So about 2 years, about 3 years almost, or yeah, about 2 years now. But yeah, I mean, we literally just hit 100K like 90 days ago exactly. Like literally, it was I think it was February 4th we hit it. So it was right about 90 days ago, and now we just hit 200K, which I don't know how in the world that happened. It's just insane. Also, thank you. Okay, I think all of the new members. If I missed your membership, I do apologize. All right. IHOP kind of night. I clipped it. Do I have Discord? Yeah, our Discord's linked in the description below. Holy crap, you guys are crazy. This Twitter post already has 100 likes in like a minute. I think that's the most liked that's ever. That's literally crazy. You guys are crazy. It's like the lowest quality photo I could have probably gotten. It's like blurry almost. Keep doing this, never get a job. We'll see. We will see. Thank you, Todd, for the $9.99. I know it's crazy. 250K is our next goal, and then 300K. Kansas City in trouble tomorrow? I think mainly damaging winds for you, and then maybe a couple of isolated tornadoes in the vicinity. It's the main concern at this point. Tucker, I don't know what you're talking about. $1 million? Let's get to 250K first. 1 million would be crazy. I don't think that'll happen, but you never know. Somebody retweeted my 200K post and said, go buy a shirt to celebrate. By the way, you guys don't have to buy merch. I mean, I just put it out there because people like it, but like, I do want to mention again, if you do want to pick up one of our Drunk NATO t-shirts, the link is at the very top of the description. And once again, this is the design. So Drunk NATO, got the beer mug, the trampoline, all that sort of stuff. Pick it up, shopmaxvelocity.net. The link's at the top of the description. I'll also post the link again in chat. We've already had a lot of people. This is the most purchased item we've ever had on our store, and it's only been out for like, I don't know, 8 hours or whatever it's been. It's been a little bit longer than that. I think a day now, but if you want to pick it up, the link's also in chat. You don't have to. Not forcing you. I don't care if you don't. A lot of people like it, so it's there. Then you wake up for the $5 super chat. I've been doing YouTube for 18 years. Or 8 years? 18 years. 8 years? That's a long time. Thank you, Scott, for becoming a Maximum Velocity member. I really like the shirts. I actually do too. They're really comfortable, by the way. I have a Max Velocity shirt. I wore it. Let me see if I can find it. They're actually really comfortable. I don't know where it is, but they are really comfortable. I'm not saying that to sell you on it. I'm just saying, like, I have a Max Velocity shirt. It is extremely comfortable. And some of you might already, I don't know, but it is one of the most comfortable shirts that you can basically get. I love my coffee cup. Coffee cups are good too. I don't have a coffee cup, but they do look good. And then the stickers are good, but they're just, I mean, they're just stickers. The hats are embroidered. I do have a hat somewhere. Actually, I can get my hat real quick. One second. I wore my hat yesterday. But this is the limited edition 100K Max Velocity hat when it came out. We don't have these anymore being sold. Like I think only like 15 of these are in cycle or something like that. But like this is one of them. These are embroidered, so it's high quality. So like it's actually quality stuff. I do have to say that. Like everything's quality. That's just why I'm using that site. I wouldn't be selling merch if they weren't at least quality. So 200K hat. Do you guys want a 200K hat? We could do a 200K hat. I'll release it for like, 5 days. If you guys really want me to release one, I can. But I mean, we can just do one for every milestone at this point. I'd rather do it for like 250 though, and not 200. Can I look at the 0Z model run? I can. I've kind of already gone over it. Let me quickly close out of Radar Omega real quick and go back into it. So I don't know if they're loading in on here. I mean, I did it on Pivotal Weather. Get a shirt with the slogans. We could. Oh, here we go. All right, this is the latest model run. We've got the line of storms developing right around 3 to 4 o'clock in Kansas and Nebraska. Eventually, discrete cells firing up in Oklahoma, and a few possibly out in front of that line. So a few different areas where the most significant tornado risk will be. By 7, 8 o'clock, those storms continue to move east and northeast, and then eventually overnight, it's mostly a line with damaging winds and hail. But again, if you want more details on this, I kind of talked about it in the like the first 20 minutes of today's live stream. Yeah, I'll do it at 250K. I'm not going to do it at 200K. I feel like it's more appropriate to save that for 250. Thank you, Janice, for becoming a minimum velocity member. Thank you, Cars. Appreciate it. If you guys purchase merchandise, I do appreciate it. I can't see the names of people that purchased it. It only tells me the initials. I don't know why. So if you did pick up something, I do appreciate it, but I couldn't tell you who's buying stuff. I don't have that info for some reason. Is this radar for tomorrow? Yes. This would be 1 a.m. tomorrow. The timestamp is at the very top of your screen. I'll circle it right up here. Putting an arrow so you can see. Oh, it's not an arrow. This right here is where we're looking. That's your timestamp, 1 a.m. So this will be 1 a.m. tomorrow night, the early Tuesday morning. You beatbox or becoming a minimum velocity member. Yeah, the shirts are apparently in all sizes. So, you know, if you're queso, there's probably a shirt size there for you. Just a joke, by the way. SPC does update at specific times. They sometimes have updates that are in between, if there's any major updates, but yeah, the SPC updates at normal regular time. Like the day 1 and day 2 outlook will be out tonight at like 2 a.m. Eastern time, and then 3:30 a.m. for the day 3 outlook, and anything after that. My guy Queso's catching strays. I didn't really know who Queso was until like a few weeks ago, for the record. It actually says who orders merch in the chat, but it just shows initials. It doesn't say like actual people. I don't know why it does that. It's weird. I think we've now sold. This is the most sold shirt we've ever had. I mean, I think we've sold like 25 of these Drunk NATO t-shirts already. It's been like a day. It's crazy. Ohio's mostly gonna be on Wednesday and Tuesday. Again, if you want more details, it's at the beginning of the forecast, but I expect some severe weather on Tuesday. It should be a low risk though, and then Wednesday will be more elevated probably, but it'll mostly be on the southwest side of the state. Tornado outlook for Dallas area on Wednesday. I think it'll be low, maybe low medium. Can I lower the price of the shirt? I mean, the shirt prices, they're probably not going to change. It's otherwise there's like literally no margin at all in those shirts, like at all. I try to make them as cheap as possible to make it, you know, reasonable at least. The only like again, there's 2 versions of it. The one without the logo is $3 cheaper. Having a logo on the sleeve does cost like an extra $2 or $3, so that's the reason why it's a bit more expensive. Otherwise, that would probably just be the main shirt. TK, that's not happening. I'm not gonna pass Mr. Beast. Been here since 10K. I know, Devin. You've been around for a while. I know a lot. I know a lot of the names from, you know, OG. Need some max velocity shot glasses. That would be pretty funny. Maybe we'll see. I think it'd be easier to have merch like that if I was using, like, if I was just shipping that stuff out. Problem is, I'm one person, and if I had to do merch and do this at the same time and do my Facebook pages and all that, I would probably go insane. So, I wouldn't probably be able to do that, but maybe in the future, if we had, like, if the merch is high enough demand at some point in the future, we might have, like, you know, maybe shipped out of somewhere and have somebody dedicated to doing that, but it's a little bit difficult right now. Because we definitely do not have enough merch sales for that. But shot glasses are not a bad idea. That'd be pretty cool. Drunk NATO shot glasses. That would actually be really fire. Mike. where I think the worst weather will happen on Wednesday. This is what we're looking at on Wednesday. Let's go back to the severe weather outlook here. This would be on Wednesday here. I think the greatest threat will be right in here. But the greatest tornado threat and the greatest hail threat and wind threat will probably be in that black circle. Outside of this area, though, you should still stay vigilant and weather aware. Again, that's just what I'm thinking, but obviously it is subject to change. Tornado underwear? We're not selling underwear. No, thank you. Not selling underwear. Wonderful, you just circled where I live. No problem. I love just love circling places. No, I mean that's where I think the greatest threat will be. Yeah, it's not an official forecast, but that's what I'm thinking will happen, is where the greatest threat of severe weather will probably be in that area on Wednesday. And subject to change, things could also change with the ingredients, but again, I think Monday and Wednesday are both going to be outbreaks. More than likely a tornado outbreak tomorrow, and then a severe weather outbreak or even a tornado outbreak on Wednesday is going to be possible. Not a guarantee, but it is possible. There are no severe thunderstorm warnings right now. Again, this is just an update stream. Max velocity bed covers. We do have blankets. Fun fact. Think a derecho is going to happen? I don't think so. I kind of doubt it. I don't think this is going to be a derecho. Yeah, I don't think it's going to be a derecho tomorrow or Tuesday morning. Well, there will be probably scattered to numerous damaging winds, but I don't think a derecho is going to happen. And a derecho, for those that are wondering, is basically like an area, like a line of storms that travels about 250 miles that produces a elongated, straight line damaging wind threat. And I just don't think we're going to really have that. And it would have to be widespread damage, right? It's not just like a few places here and there. So I don't think we're going to have a derecho, though. What about a max velocity weather radio? I actually had that thought the other day. Somebody mentioned it to me. I can't remember who mentioned it to me, but somebody did. That would be an interesting idea. But I don't know the logistics of that. That might be pretty difficult. Thank you, Big Country, for becoming a moderate velocity member. Appreciate it, James. Thank you. Do I have meal preparation for my streams? Not really. We'll probably have to do something tomorrow if I'm going to be live for like 8+ hours. I might even just DoorDash something. Because, I mean, tomorrow looks like an 8 to 12 hour live stream day. So we will see. Not sure yet. Possible, Cookie. It's definitely possible. Is it too early to issue a flying trampoline watch? I would say we could probably issue a flying trampoline watch for anywhere in this area here. So flying trampoline watch in effect here for Kansas, western Missouri, southwest Iowa, and southeast Nebraska. Imagine if that was an actual watch. That'd be pretty cool. Maybe subtle. I might do something like that. Might have some like emergency management website or something. I'm not doing a max velocity energy drink. It's just not happening. I have seen I looked at the family's GoFundMe earlier. I think it's the Lambert family. They've raised now over $84,000, which is quite incredible. Now, we only chipped in a small fraction of that, but I mean, there was a ton of people that chipped into that fundraiser, like a ton. I don't know what the exact number was, but like, there's a ton of people chipping into that. I saw, I mean, Ryan Hall was the largest donation. I saw, I'm trying to think. I think Powell Weather was one. There's a bunch, but I mean, even a small amount helped, for them. But that was a, big fundraiser for them, and I'm glad that they're probably able to at least rebuild their lives after, all that destruction that they experienced a few days ago. Yeah, I think a lot of you guys did end up donating. Again, you don't have to ever donate to these things. Like, you're not required by any means, but if you're able to, it's always helpful for these families that go through tragedy like that. And so I know a lot of people did donate. Again, huge shout out to all of you guys that were generous and donated. Again, we donated, but I think a lot of that is, again, just because of you guys being able to, you know, supporting the page and all that. It wouldn't have been possible without all of you guys. So it's the Lambert family. They got hit by the tornado. That's the one that Freddie McKinney saved and got them to the hospital on whatever day it was. I don't have a visual of days anymore. I mean, we're on Sunday. I don't remember what day it was. I think it was like Thursday or Friday. So we're not doing max velocity pre-workout. I barely even work out. My workout right now is playing Beat Saber on VR. Just for the record. I don't really have much time to work out. We're live all the time. Which I don't mind. I'm just saying I don't really have time for it. I don't look like the kind of guy that looks muscular anyways, so it wouldn't be a great selling point. Buy this pre-workout. That will not help you at all. That game rules. That's actually a good exercise. It actually is. I did it before I went live. Get your heart beat going and everything. I'm like whacking around the wands. I mean, it's awesome. I love doing it. At some point, we might have to do like a VR stream. just like where I'm wearing the VR goggles. I have a monitor like somewhere. It just has weather radar on it. It looks so crazy. Standing desk. I'm not getting a standing desk for the studio. I'm getting a larger desk though, and it'll be able to fit two different computers with a bunch of monitors. I think I'll have to check that out. I've never even heard of it. Guys, we're not doing max velocity credit cards. Like, let's be realistic here. Max velocity credit card. Get 4% cash back on a weather radio. The only thing. That's the only thing I could think of. Will Kentucky see any bad weather? Again, Kentucky's probably gonna be more of a Wednesday threat. I highly recommend you going back earlier into the earlier in the live stream and just watching that. Sounds good, Tucker. But yeah, go back earlier into the live stream. Again, has all the details. We've kind of gone over everything at this point, I think. I don't think I've missed anything at this point for Monday through Thursday. So, again, I'm just kind of chatting right now about credit cards and insurance. Fun fact. Yeah, and let's do some insurance. That sounds great. You guys are crazy. When's the Culver sponsorship? I'm telling you guys, if we don't get a Culver sponsorship, we might have to drop the cheese curds, and we might have to get the cheese curds instead from Buffalo Wild Wings. Yeah, I'm giving them like a 3-month deadline. All right, we need it. We need it ASAP. Max velocity storm shelters. That'd be a serious liability. Like I would actually have to know how to build one, and I don't know how to build one at all. Many people are saying max velocity bed sheets is actually kind of crazy. Might have to do it. Might have to. We're not doing a Papa John's collab, guys. I gave it like a 4 out of 10 when I ate it, so. Western Iowa and the Sioux area. The main concern's wind. You might get some hail. There's a very low chance for a tornado up in Iowa tomorrow. Like, it's very low. The only area that I've, like, any concern about for some sort of, like, more elevated tornado risk would be, like, right in here of Iowa, which is near Omaha. But even then, I think the main concern will be down to your south. We're not doing max velocity cheese curds is another thing that I just don't know how to make. Just not happening. I'm actually dying laughing over here. These are some crazy ideas, I gotta say. Very creative. But a lot of these are a no. Not happening. Max velocity tornado sirens. No. Not happening. It'd be so hard to do. A lot of these things are just, like, unrealistic. I've seen water bottles a lot, too. A drunk NATO. Yes, let me make a drunk NATO. Let's Not even the shirt. We're just making a NATO that's drunk. And I could actually imagine an alcoholic beverage being named Drunk NATO, for the record. Actually sounds like a pretty good name. We're not getting a Circle sponsorship. That's almost not happening. Where's the bed? Again, the bed might be coming back tomorrow. We'll see. You know, when we go live tomorrow, it might be there, it might not be. We'll see. Max Velocity University. Yes. Let's teach them about cheese curds, flying trampolines, and drunk NATOs. We already have Max Velocity merch. There's literally a link at the top of the description. With the Drunk NATO t-shirt, by the way. Okay, you guys are actually crazy. The amount of t-shirts that have been purchased in the last, like, 15 minutes is way too many. People buying a Drunk NATO t-shirt is crazy. I mean, in the last, like, 25 minutes, I think we sold, like, 10. That is ridiculous. We're not doing Max Velocity Gaming. No. We're just not doing that. What time will I be live tomorrow? I'm not sure. Again, just click the bell icon down below so you're notified when I go live. It'll probably be sometime around... my guess is probably around 2 or 3 Central Time. Maybe later? I don't know. I'm not really sure when we're going live yet tomorrow. But all I know is that we might be live all the way into, like, the early overnight hours. So it could be a long day tomorrow. It could be a long day. We're not doing a Max Velocity washer and dryer set. Like, no. Max Velocity iPhones. That sounds fantastic. Once again, have no clue how to do that. Thank you, Cameron, for the very generous $20 super chat. What's the chance? What's the tornado chance in Washington tomorrow? This has to be a meme, right? We're talking about Washington State. Actually, there's a chance for storms in southeast Washington tomorrow, believe it or not. I'm guessing that's a joke, right? We're not talking about, like, Washington in a state. We're just talking about Washington State. We're just talking about Washington. There should not be any tornadoes there. I wouldn't be surprised with something brief, but I highly doubt it. It was a joke? Okay, thank goodness. I was about to say, you're donating $20 for Washington? That'd be pretty crazy. If we had a tornado there, that would be pretty crazy. They, like, never see tornadoes. Next, ask me if there's gonna be a tornado emergency in Alaska. I'll let you know. We actually did have a tornado emergency test warning in Alaska the other day, believe it or not. Very interesting. Latest HRR paints a scary environment tomorrow. I mean, it hasn't been much different over the last few runs, in my opinion. I feel like it's been pretty similar. But yeah, I think tomorrow is gonna be a big day. Again, we'll probably have a tornado outbreak. Will we see a high risk of severe weather? I kind of doubt it, but again, it's not my place to really say. I think overall the risk outlined is pretty good. I mean, the only thing that I think might change is the moderate risk. It could grow, but and I would not get too caught up in the risks for tomorrow. I'll be prepared no matter where you are here in the central or southern plains. Max velocity light bulbs. Yes, let's get some light bulbs. That sounds fantastic. Tornado chances in Springfield, Missouri. I think it's gonna be a low risk. Again, it'll be overnight tomorrow night. So definitely make sure that you have multiple ways to receive alerts. Have a tornado action plan in place, just in case. Goes for anyone in Southwest Missouri. Thank you, Daniel, for the $10 super chat. I just don't think so. I'm not getting involved in the crypto space. No way. All the things that have happened there, there's just no way. Wichita, Kansas, tornado risk. It's right now in the medium sector. Again, the moderate risk right now means medium threat of tornadoes. So basically a medium risk anywhere here in the red. It's a medium risk even in the enhanced area, but this is like kind of a medium, maybe medium high risk at this point. Now, if it gets upgraded to a high risk for tornadoes, like a 30% probability instead of the current 15%, that would represent a high risk. And extreme or very high would be anything higher than that, basically. The Remo for becoming a Velocity member. By the way, I also want to throw this out there, kind of unrelated to what we're talking about, but we are currently about 100 members from 1,000. So I just want to throw that out there. If you want to become a member, it's not required, but the link's in the description. It's also the join button. But we are getting pretty close to 1,000, which is mind-boggling too. Max Velocity collab with Ryan Hall. It's possible. I'm not opposed to anything. Max Velocity storm chasing car. It's got to be a Cybertruck if we're doing it. Got to be a Cybertruck. Now, I don't know if, you know, it's logistically going to ever work. We got to do it. Thank you, Westfester, for the $10 super chat. Ice Cube and Hail Molds. It's an interesting one. I appreciate that, by the way. Thank you. Kansas City tomorrow. I've gone over Kansas City, I think, 6 different times now. Again, Kansas City, mainly a damaging wind risk. It's going to be mostly between about 7 and 11. And then isolated large hail, and then maybe a couple of isolated tornadoes in the area. I highly recommend, if you have any questions about tomorrow's severe weather outlook, you watch the first 20 minutes of the live stream. If it doesn't get answered at all in that time frame, just, you know, pop a question in the chat and I'll hopefully answer it. You can skip around too. I mean, there's nothing to hold you back to watch the entire 20 minutes. I'd rather you just skip around to find whatever point you're trying to get to. Heather, the link's in the description. Try to click the link in the description of the video and see if that, or video, or live stream, I mean, and see if that works. Or hit the join button if you see that. What? Max versus Ryan Hall is the next boxing the next KSI and Logan Paul. That'd be pretty crazy. The trampoline meter right now is at a high risk. So here is the trampoline meter for tomorrow. This will probably get upgraded to an extreme risk tomorrow, but right now it's at a high risk. And this is only issued when we have a potential for a trampoline outbreak. This means a trampoline outbreak, a flying trampoline outbreak is very likely. And this means we're definitely going to see a flying trampoline outbreak. So definitely make sure you hatch down your trampolines tomorrow, because you don't want that to happen. Thank you, Cameron, again for another $20 super chat. How about the tornado risk for Northeast Maine tomorrow? It's going to be a mega tornado outbreak, as James Spann would say. It's going to be worse than April 27th, 2011. No. Imagine. No. Nothing's happening in Maine, for the record. If anybody's in the chat from Maine, nothing's happening there. You're good. Thank you, William, for becoming a Velocity member. Also, thank you, Mike, for gifting a member. Max Velocity Airlines. That would be a pretty good name. Would be a pretty good name. Jack with a $4.99 Max Velocity toilet paper when you have a number. That's funny. I mean, we actually do have, believe it or not, this is only used for the winter, but we do have a toilet paper meter for when there are winter storms in Texas. We would always use this to portray the risk for, you know, you needing to go buy the toilet paper off the shelves. So, you know, this is, I think, the only risk that we actually had. Thank you, Brody. Appreciate it. Now, we literally just hit 200K like 45 minutes ago. It's crazy. We have some of the weirdest things. I mean, we got a trampoline meter. We got a toilet paper meter. We also have a flying trash can meter. So here's your trash can meter. I never show this really, but we have the Gone Forever stage on this one too. We just don't have pictures, but we do also have this. We also have chili. We actually had a chili warning one time for Texas. We have a lot of weird graphics. I just gotta say that. We got a lot of weird stuff. A lot of these I don't actually show you guys. We also have a jacket meter. Dress up as Bernie. In the winter, if you know the meme, you know. All layers on, winter jacket, all that sort of stuff. I don't even know. I've made some weird, really weird stuff over the last few years. Hey, Steven for the $4.99. You never know. What one will you have for hurricanes? I don't know. I don't know what we're gonna do for hurricanes yet. I don't have a meter for hurricanes, believe it or not. I actually don't. Thank you, Sarah. Appreciate it. Thank you, Joseph, for the $5 super chat. I don't even know where that is in China. I'm gonna keep it a buck. I don't even know. I've never even heard of that town before, or city. Since when do you have time to dream up this stuff? I mean, I did this. Most of those meters were made in early 2023 or before that. I would not have time to make one right now, though. I mean, I'm way too busy. We're live all the time, so I wouldn't really have much time to make one right now. You're buying 3 shirts and a hoodie? That is crazy. That would be pretty crazy. Again, if you're just tuning in and you're, if you watched our severe weather coverage from last week and you want to pick up a Drunk NATO t-shirt, once again, these are not going to be like limited release. They'll probably be out for a while. You can check one out. Again, it's on our store, shopmaxvelocity.net. The link's at the top of the description. I'll also post the link in the chat. That's what it looks like. But once again, you can check it out if you want. You can click the top link in the description. You can click the pinned link in the chat. And I'll also copy and paste it 4 times if you want to check it out. A lot of you guys have already picked them up, and I do appreciate anybody that's picked one up. I don't know who's picked them up. It only tells me initials. It does not tell me names, so I cannot thank you guys. But if you have picked one up, send me a picture on Twitter once you get it, or Facebook, or whatever platform you're on, and I'd love to see it. Only $4 shipping. Yeah, the shipping's not that bad. I do not control the rates for shipping, by the way. That's just what they charge. Thank you, Scotty, for the 1 gifted member. How was my day off yesterday? It was good. I posted a few updates on Twitter about the severe weather threat and whatnot. We had another cone tornado. It was brief. It was near Fort Stockton, but overall, at least nothing significant happened. I'm glad I missed, or at least I didn't miss anything significant, because I was kind of regretting it a little bit going away for the day, because I was nowhere near my studio. I mean, I went to Disney World yesterday, and I didn't know yesterday was May 4th, so I went to Disney, and I went to Hollywood Studios, and I mean, I kid you not, I've never seen so many lightsabers and people dressed up in my life. This was last night. This is all the lightsabers that I saw last night. I mean, like, I've never seen so many. Everybody was just doing a group meetup over near the Millennium Falcon. I mean, it was insane. So this is pretty cool, though. I mean, it was actually pretty cool to see. Like, everybody meeting up, everybody's like holding up their lightsabers. Pretty crazy stuff. But yeah, it was a good day off. I mean, it was definitely a bit more relaxing. I got my feet moving. I mean, the biggest thing really was just making sure I was still a little bit in shape, because I mean, we sit down for hours on end doing these severe weather coverages, so I did go on the Rise of the Resistance. Yeah, I was like the last person to go on last night. I waited about 45 minutes because everybody was surging in there last second. So I was like one of the last people to go on. That ride's awesome. Okay, Stream Deck just does not want to work. Cool. I love when it does not work. Where is Stream Deck? You have a tornado possible storm in eastern Arkansas. Just a heads up there. I don't know why, but it's not working. There's no tornado on the ground. There we go. Our cameras aren't even working, so we have to go to this one. Let's go to this and that. All right. Get me out of that. All right, let's go down to... I'm just going to check this out real quickly and see if it's actually anything of a concern. It's in Arkansas. Doesn't look that bad. Oh. Okay. There's actually rotation there. Now that is interesting. I don't think we're doing any severe weather coverage tonight, but there is a storm here that is actually rotating. Why is my stream deck not working whatsoever? What is going on here? Stream deck, can you work, please? Just for once. Alright, I think it's working now. Cool. Maybe. Maybe not. Stream deck, why do you gotta be so painful here? Oh, there we go. All right, now it's all right. Cool, it's working. All right, we're cool. All right, so we do have rotation here near Iker Falls, going towards DeWitt. I'm not super concerned about this. We probably won't be live for this entire thing, but we also have a severe thunderstorm warning up in Montana. Apparently, I just kind of went up to this. Montana apparently have a severe thunderstorm warning for damaging winds, so that's interesting. But yeah, this storm actually does have rotation, which is interesting. And once again, I was not expecting to be live for severe weather coverage, and we probably will not cover this storm, but yeah. This has some rotation. I don't know if we're going to really see a tornado out of this, but, you know. There's some broad circulation there. I think this is the closest radar site, right? Yeah, that's the closest radar site. So, yeah, there's rotation, but I don't know. It's not super crazy. Looked actually stronger at the beginning of the warning. It's kind of a little bit broader in the last couple scans. Thank you, Rob, for becoming a Velocity member. Guys, we're not doing underwear. we're not selling underwear. Just for the record, we're not going to be selling any underwear here. Thank you, James. Appreciate it. Pretty crazy. That tweet has gone pretty crazy too. That tweet about me hitting 200,000 subscribers is at like almost 500 likes. Our Twitter's blown up recently too. We're up to like 14,000 followers almost now. Crazy. Max velocity fish and chips. Okay, let's stop with these ideas. They're just really bad at this point. None of this is happening. Trampoline insurance? We're not doing trampoline insurance. That's a gutter. If you want to go into trampoline insurance. Here's the latest radar scan on the Arkansas tornado possible storm. And there's not much here. But we'll be live for probably like 7 more minutes in case this does something. Keeping it out 3 hours. When I hit 200K, literally like an hour ago. Thank you to whoever KO is for ordering a coffee mug on our shopmaxvelocity.net store. Shout out to anybody that's purchased a mug or shirt or whatever it might be. We're not doing roofing either. Max velocity roofing. No, you only get a plaque at 100,000 and then 1 million. So that right there is the right there. That's the 100K plaque. Also, thank you whoever HS is for ordering a bright Max Velocity unisex t-shirt. That is not even our Drunkenado shirts. Do I have any stickers? We do have stickers on our store. I don't have any stickers to really show you, but we really only have 3 stickers, I think, or 2. Yeah, we got the Max Velocity flying trampoline sticker. And then we also have the Drunkenado sticker now. You can collect them all. We got 2 stickers there now. I think if you buy both of them, the shipping is like the same price instead of if you buy them separately, just an FYI. If you did buy both of them. Forecast for tomorrow. If you want a forecast for tomorrow, go back to the beginning of the stream. It has all the details for you. Like, I'm not going to keep going over tomorrow and all the other days because nothing's really changed from the information I said a few hours ago or even within the last like hour. I was thinking about car decals. But again, a lot of this stuff would have to happen if we had our own like facility shipping this stuff out and whatnot. It would have to, you know, It's a tough thing to do. It costs a lot of money. I mean, like what we're doing right now is just through a website that will ship it out for us. So it's like there's not nearly as many costs. There's no cost up front, basically, which is helpful. But maybe down the road, if we keep growing and there's enough demand for merchandise, we might do something like that. Drunkenado t-shirt is the link in the chat. What time will the storm hit Michigan? We're not going to see really much in Michigan, in my opinion. Maybe Tuesday, but it'll be mostly just gusty winds. I wouldn't expect much. Okay. That is, it's a little bit stronger than before on this storm. Yeah, if you're near DeWitt, Arkansas, I would be staying weather aware. This storm could definitely do something here. Granted, the other radar site doesn't really show much. We don't have any really great radar view on this. This is the only radar site, which is fine. It just doesn't give us a great angle from the other side. So the rotation's seemingly been pretty... I mean, that's the strongest it's been. Near DeWitt, Arkansas. But I wouldn't be too concerned about this. Drunk NATO shirt is awesome. I know. It actually, I like the design. And everybody else agrees with it because, I mean, we've sold... That's the most sold shirt we've ever had, and it's only been like a day. So, you know. It's a popular shirt. I want max velocity steak seasoning. That'd be pretty funny. Taco truck storm chasing? What? Wait for one more radar scan to see if anything happens. If not, I think we'll just call it. I think the threat will be relatively low here. Yeah, so it's not super strong. It's still broad. Not too significant. I think we'll be alright with this storm. You guys are going crazy, by the way. I mean, we're getting merch orders up the wazoo right now. You guys are crazy. I do appreciate anybody ordering stuff on our merchandise store. It's the most orders we've ever had in like a 15-minute span. I mean, like literally. 2, 3, 4, 5. We have like 7 orders in the last 15 minutes. In the last 40 minutes, we have like 20. You guys are really crazy. Can you get a t-shirt with you throwing a trampoline at a tornado? I mean, the closest thing that we currently even have to that would be our, would be this t-shirt, but it's not really that. Just max velocity, home of the flying trampolines. Shirts are so stupid. I think the Drunken Ale one is actually, like, I think that's the best designed shirt we've had.
A new tornado warning has been issued.
All right. Well, we have a tornado warning for DeWitt, Arkansas. If you are in this tornado warning, seek shelter immediately away from windows, lowest floor possible, and in an interior room of your home or building. The rotation itself is still not super strong, but it definitely could produce a tornado at any time. Again, that's going to be heading right towards DeWitt, Arkansas. So again, if you're in this tornado warning, seek shelter away from windows and on the lowest floor possible, and in an interior room of your home or building. And away from windows. That is something. I kind of had a feeling they might issue a warning on that. So once again, this is in southeast Arkansas, again near DeWitt. So again, if you're in this warning, seek shelter away from windows, lowest floor possible. Interior room of your home or building. Yeah, we'll see how we'll see if it intensifies at all. I mean, if it stays kind of broad, we'll probably end it. I mean, again, it's how many people are included in this warning? Let's see. Yeah, it's not super populated. It's mainly just Bayou Meadow and then DeWitt, which Bayou Meadow's already kind of been passed. It's mainly DeWitt, Arkansas that's in the path of this. So yeah. We'll see. We'll stay live at least for a few minutes. Yeah, I mean, obviously tomorrow's gonna be a long day, so I don't want to be live super late tonight, especially if it's not needed. I mean, if this stays kind of broad, we'll again probably end it. And nothing on the ground right now, but we'll see what happens in the next few scans, just in case. Thank you, Barbara, by the way, for becoming a Velocity member. Here's the latest scan. Still broad. The outbreak will start around 2 or 3 tomorrow and will run all the way through the overnight hours. The main time frame for any significant tornadoes is from about 4 till about 11. 4:10, 4:11. Tomorrow afternoon and evening. No CC drop. Again, just broad, or at least moderately strong rotation, I'll say, on this storm. So once again, if you are in this tornado warning near DeWitt, Arkansas, seek shelter away from windows, lowest floor possible. Interior room of your home or building. Again, this storm right now is moving east-northeast. CC drop would be the correlation coefficient. Again, that detects debris that's being lifted up into the atmosphere from a tornado. It also can detect hail. It can detect chaff. I mean, it can detect a ton of stuff. Snow, if it's heavy. But what we're looking at here on the CC would be just rain. All that red, basically, and anything else there is just rain. Yeah, again, no CC drop on this right now. Velocity scan here in a second. Hey, Michael, appreciate it. Need a max velocity outdoor thermometer? Might actually be. We might possibly do that in the future. We'll see. Here's the latest scan. Again, broad area of circulation still. Not super concerned about this right now. I mean, it could drop something, so obviously stay in your safe place, but I don't know if it's going to warrant enough for this to continue to be live. We'll give it one more scan, and if it intensifies, we'll stay live. If it kind of dwindles and weakens a bit more, we'll call it. Because I want to rest my voice and all that for tomorrow. Because tomorrow's going to be a long day. Thank you, Cheyenne, for becoming a Velocity member. Yeah, correlation coefficient is really fantastic for rain and snow lines. It's actually amazing in the winter. We've used it before when we do blizzard coverages. Coffee mug with drunk NATO? Do you want a drunk NATO coffee mug? I mean, I can do it. Wouldn't be too hard to do. I can do that after the stream. You do want that? Yeah, this warning goes until another 25 minutes, but if it's broader, then we'll call it. If it strengthens again, we'll keep going. I'm still live. I mean, I was gonna end the stream a few minutes ago, but this came up. I mean, again, if it weakens, we're gonna call it, because I want to rest my voice for tomorrow. We cannot be live for every single tornado warning. If it does look a little bit more concerning, again, we'll stay live. Once again, this is in southeast Arkansas near DeWitt. Here's the latest scan. Give it one more scan. It's kind of the same as before. It's a little bit broader. It's kind of broadening a little bit, so. Drunk NATO coffee mug? Alright. We'll make it happen. Is this in Arkansas County, Arkansas? Is that actually a county? That's what it says at the bottom of the screen. Yeah, this includes DeWitt, Arkansas, Berks, Prairie Union. Tornado warning goes until 10:30 Central Time. If you are in this pink polygon, once again, you need to seek shelter immediately, away from windows and on the lowest floor possible, and an interior room of your home or building. That's a county? Okay, so it's in Arkansas County, Arkansas. That's a weird one. It's in southeast Arkansas. It's southeast of Little Rock. That's where we're at right now, just west of the Mississippi River. Give it one more scan, and if it continues to kind of stay where it is, we'll call it a night. And we'll be live for a long time tomorrow, so need to prepare for tomorrow. New scan should be coming in here in just a moment. Good amount of lightning with the storm, for the record. Actually, pretty highly electrified. Alright, here's the latest scan, and it's much broader. So, I'm not super concerned about this. Obviously, if you are in the warning, continue to stay in your safe place, away from windows, on the lowest floor possible. But, yeah, it's kind of broadening here over the last few minutes. Thank you, Dan, also for becoming a Velocity member. Trent, I'll probably go over that at some point when I get a chance. I haven't had time to do that. A lot of people have been asking me. I'll try to do that at some point here in this, soon. One more scan? Okay, we'll give it one more. Just one more, and then I'm done. Because I don't think this is gonna... I mean, it's broader than the last few scans. It did intensify there briefly, and there may have been a tornado, for the record. But it's definitely been broadening over the last few minutes. Let's hope that continues. National Weather Service did update the warning. They didn't extend it. It's the same area. Just, it's a little bit condensed from where it was before. Hagler and Bayou Meadow were included in it before. By the way, the drunk tornado mug is now out. So if you wanted one, again, the top link in the description below is where that's at. Yeah, this is broadening. I mean, there's a little bit of rotation here near where that couplet kind of is, like right there, west of DeWitt. So obviously, if you are in DeWitt, continue to stay in your safe place. But compared to a few scans ago, it's much weaker. I mean, it was much stronger near Hagler, but it's been broadening out over the last few minutes. It's not enough for me to be live. I mean, again, we got to prepare for tomorrow. Tomorrow's a much bigger day than what this will probably be anyway. So, but obviously, if you're in DeWitt or Prairie Union, continue to stay in your safe place just in case anything does happen. But I'm not seeing anything that warrants us staying live. So, again, if you're new to the channel, make sure to subscribe down below and click the bell icon down below so you're notified when we go live tomorrow. Tomorrow will be a big day, so stay tuned. Also, again, the Drunknado merch is out. We have a mug, a sticker, and shirts. Those are all linked in the chat, and it's also the top link in the description below if you want to pick it up. One more scan t-shirt. That would actually be an interesting one. But I do appreciate everybody tuning in. Again, stay safe. If you're in this warning, again, continue to stay in your safe place just in case. But overall, again, I'm not super concerned about this, so we're not going to continue to stay live for it. We'll be live again tomorrow. We'll be live Tuesday, most likely, and also Wednesday. A lot of big days of severe weather ahead. If you have any questions about what to expect either tomorrow, Tuesday, or Wednesday, you can check the first 20 minutes of this live stream. Just kind of skip around to wherever, whatever time at your, just skip around, basically, and look to where the, when you need to be watching for, whatever day it might be. If it's Monday or Tuesday, I mean, you can skip around a little bit and find that information. We go over a lot of that, so again, you can jump back to the beginning of the live stream, and here's the latest scan, by the way. So again, broad area of circulation, so I'm not super concerned about this. All right, again, you can pick up the Drunknado merch, top link in the description below. The link's also at the top of the chat pinned. Again, there's now a mug for those that want one. There's the shirts and there's a sticker. All right, so if you want any of that stuff, it's there. Won't really talk about that much tomorrow, maybe at the beginning if there's no warnings, but other than that, appreciate you guys all tuning in. Have a great, safe rest of your night. Thank you guys a lot for 200,000 subscribers. You guys are crazy. If you're in DeWitt, Arkansas, continue to stay in your safe place. If this does drop a tornado, they may end the warning early. We'll see. But have a great night. We'll see you guys all again tomorrow.